Check, check. Check, check, check. I want to, oh yeah, this is it right here. I just want to check. Check, 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 check. Checkity, check, check, check. Alright, that's probably good right there. Okay. So, today we're going to continue working on a Kingdom Hearts, thank you, a Kingdom Hearts, not all boss fights, Kingdom Hearts 3, there we go, this Kingdom Hearts video, and I actually want to, well, let's give it a better title, Kingdom Hearts 3, oh my god, Kingdom Hearts 3, that sounds about right. That looks like a Kingdom Hearts title. So anyways, today I've basically finished what I think is like everything. I'm pretty sure I got all my thoughts and stuff out here. But I want to do this. I want to have a spot in the video where I respond to other reviews / defenses of Kingdom Hearts 3. Mostly because, like, a lot of people have a lot to say about this game, and I feel like a lot of it gets muddied between, like, who says what, and how people say this, and the details, and the details, and the details, and stuff like that. And I'm going to make the claim that Kingdom Hearts is a complicated, convoluted franchise. It just is. Like, and that's, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Like, that's not a dig at Kingdom Hearts. Like, it's just a fact, right? Like, it's fine to accept that Kingdom Hearts is complicated and convoluted, but I feel like there's so many Kingdom Hearts apologists who are like, no, it's super, super simple. All you have to do is pay attention to this and pay attention to that and this and that, and then read all the reports in this game, and when you play the final mix in this game and stuff like that too. And it's one thing to say that the information and the lore is accessible. Like, sure, like the secret reports, I feel like that's fair game, right? Like, in the majority of games, if not all of them, they are collectibles. A handful of them you'll either just find, or they are given to you by completing story events. So, secret reports are fair. I recently found out, and it's mentioned in this video, that the way Naminé contacts Terra in the final world is actually the second time that they've ever talked. And if you were like me, and you're like, okay, well, you know, what's the significance between Naminé talking to Terra? Like, how does Naminé even know about Terra, right? And you can say that it's because of, oh, well, Naminé has control of Sora's memories, and because of that, that connected her to Vin, and then she was able to, like, poke and look around in Vin's memories. First of all, that is, while that may be true, while that theoretically could be true, it's never, like, stated. You never get a secret report about it. You never get anything about that, right? What does happen is in 2016, before Kingdom Hearts 3 ever released, in 2016, 3 years before Kingdom Hearts 3 released, during a live orchestra event, supposedly, I've heard this from hearsay, and I found, like, a video that's, like, explaining this a good bit. Supposedly, the voice actors for Naminé and Terra, like, gave a dialogue where their characters talked to each other. And for a while, this was not considered canon. It was just like, oh, it's like, you know, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Does these, like, these duels where it's like, let's do the video. This. So this is a scripted duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! between Yusei and Yugi, who are two different protagonists. It's scripted, and they have the voice actors not playing, but they have the voice actors reading off of a script, and then these actors are basically just shuffling and moving the cards around, right? And this isn't canon, right? It's just a fun interaction between these two characters. So that's kind of like the impression that people had with this, of like, oh, okay, at best, it's like just a neat little thing to have with these two characters who, by no other means, would be able to connect and talk. And now they're doing so, right? And basically, the gist of this conversation between Naminé and Terra is Naminé essentially encouraging or telling Terra that he has to fight and break out of Xehanort's control because he has to save Aqua and Vin, right? So, like, there's not a whole lot of actual, like, substance to this conversation. But in Kingdom Hearts 3, the reason why Naminé has a connection to Terra is because of this prior conversation that was in the orchestra thing. And if you're also trying to think, and you're like, okay, well, when in the series, like if this voice acting dub dialogue, or not voice acting, or voice acting, if this voice acted dubbed dialogue from the concert, from the orchestra concert became canon, then when in the canon does it take place? I'm glad you asked. It takes place after Birth by Sleep, but before 0.2 from Terra's perspective. From Naminé's perspective, it takes place after Kingdom Hearts 1, from the time that she's created, and before the final battle of Kingdom Hearts 3. The, like, probably the best time frame that you could actually give Naminé is during the events of Chain of Memories, when she is actively messing with Sora's memories. But when she's talking to Terra, Terra's like, who are you? Like, how are you communicating with me? Naminé is like, oh, I'm fiddling around with the memories from people who know you. I'm pretty sure Sora meets... during this scene, yeah, he meets both of them. So A, they've met before. I don't think that, do they actually have any, like, speaking dialogue? Okay, so he never actually has, like, spoken dialogue with Sora, but they have, like, I guess, technically met. But even then, you could just say, oh, well, it's Naminé getting a connection from Terra through Ventus, right? You would have no way of knowing this information without knowing about the orchestra event live action voiced over dialogue from 2016, 3 years prior to Kingdom Hearts 3's release, right? Like, so, yes, Kingdom Hearts is a complicated franchise, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Things can be complicated and be good, right? So, anyways, about the Kingdom Hearts 3 apologist thing, all that to say is I feel like that there's so many, like, adamant, just Kingdom Hearts apologists who, well, in my opinion, either go over the top or miss the point, or I just flat out disagree with them. I just think they're wrong. So I kind of want to respond to some of these arguments and some of these points and stuff, because, like, another thing too is part of the reason, because Kingdom Hearts is so convoluted, right? Everyone does their best to try and understand what is happening, right? Like, what is the context of this? How is this happening? You know, what's the lore? What's the functions of these things? Everyone has, like, their own sort of interpretations. And granted, a lot of people might have overlapping interpretations. Or a lot of other people might just have a better grasp on the lore mechanics and stuff than other people. But it's like, you have to get a degree in Kingdom Hearts Nomuraology, right? To like, really grasp all of it. So I say that because Kingdom Hearts fans should not be offended. They should not be surprised or anything like that when people just don't understand a simple lore fact,
or not even a simple lore fact, just a lore fact in general, whether it's simple or complicated, right? Like, I do other things other than just play Kingdom Hearts games. I've got other things racking around in my brain. If I forget the fact that Naminé and Terra had a conversation that technically wasn't canon, but then retroactively became canon due to this cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 3 that happened in 2016, like, forgive me. You know what I mean? So, I want to go out of my way, and I want to find these Kingdom Hearts apologist video. Kingdom Hearts 3 is great, and I will die on that hill. Let's see. I don't really want to, like... I have been wanting to do this. Let's make a playlist. I don't necessarily want to look for, like, why people dislike this game. I want, like, supporters. You know what I mean? Because I disagree. My dog is whining. Let me take him out real quick. The neighbors have their dogs outside too, and they like to play together. So, okay, so this isn't even 3. This doesn't even include 3. This is a 4-hour video, and it doesn't even include Kingdom Hearts 3. This is a 4.5 long hour video. Oh my god. What is this? That is not Sora. Oh, this is AI. Oh my gosh. I hate this. What is that? Okay, I don't want AI crap on my... Well, I would be interested in watching this, but I just know that it's AI, so that's the same person. Bummer. Let's go back to the top. I started watching this video earlier. Skyward Wing normally has a pretty level head when it comes to stuff like this. So I don't necessarily, like, think that... I watched a little bit of it, and it was fine to the point that I got up to. But it's worth having a refresh. I mean, I kind of like. I'm interested in this video. He talks a whole hour on the Keyblade Graveyard. He talks for almost 2 hours about just the DLC. The new worst game in the series. I was just interested in that. Alright, well, I'm sure there's more, but I don't know all of them off the top of my head after looking for them. So let's start with Skies, because that's the shortest.
And I'm forever grateful for that. So I want to know if you have
When was this? A year ago? Probably closer to 2. Yeah. Mario Day.
It is today. Welcome to Kingdom Hearts 3, 5 years later.
So you're saying the weak feel the need to justify their actions to maintain a sense of self.
In Kingdom Hearts games, you're able to select your difficulty right at the very beginning, ranging from beginner,
I kind of wish that this was segmented.
standard, and proud mode. Proud mode used to be the most difficult in the series, but when Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix dropped, it introduced a brand new critical mode. The damage that Sora received is double, your HP is essentially cut in half, and you do half the damage. This has objectively been the most difficult mode introduced in the series and has been on and off throughout future titles. When Kingdom Hearts 3 first released, it only included the first 3 difficulties. Even in the case of Proud Mode, many players for Kingdom Hearts 3 considered the game to be way too easy. From
my first time ever playing Kingdom Hearts 3 was on Proud Mode, and I only got stuck on a handful of bosses. Like, I think I lost to the organization in-game fights once each, maybe twice each. And then I lost to Skull, I think, twice, and another Disney boss twice. But other than that, I think I won every fight on my first try. I know I beat the final boss on my first try.
my own personal experience, I was able to get to the Keyblade Graveyard without dying a single time. It was only until I faced off against the Xehanorts where I had a little bit of trouble. But overall, getting through the game was not a challenge at all. Sora has so much in his kit that he can take out several enemies at once without blinking an eye. Sora in Kingdom Hearts 3 is the strongest he's ever been with the amount of options he has. From the Keyblade transformations to the attraction flows basically being immortal attacks. But after a few combos, even the most challenging enemies would fold like paper, leaving a lot of players' initial playthrough of the game to be almost so easy that there was no conflict in the gameplay. Many were wondering where that critical mode patch was going to kick in, but fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long, with the patch being released as free DLC on April 23rd that year, 3 months after the game. And critical mode for Kingdom Hearts 3 did not disappoint. Your HP and MP were cut in half, situation commands took twice as long to build up, and Sora received way more damage. Although the biggest changes come in the form of Sora's new abilities. There was Critical Converter, which allowed you to completely disable the attraction flows. They no longer appeared on the map, immediately making the game harder by not having them. They also added Critical Counter, Critical Recharge, Aerial Recovery, and a ton of new abilities to Sora's kit. Oh, but they didn't stop there. The AI for enemies is a lot more aggressive this time around too, making the most basic Dusk enemy take my life at the very first visit of the game.
The dust got me.
I'm so happy. I've never been so happy to die in a video game in my life. Because of critical...
You know what, too? I'm gonna speed up, just so we're not actually watching these for like 20 minutes at a time.
That's how I was going to handle every combat situation. No longer could I just slam the Keyblade and hope for the best. Even the most basic enemy encounters, I had to be out there fighting for my life.
I'm dead as hell. Oh my god.
Let me get that transformation. Let me get that ass beat Asian! And I love that. I love that they added this option into the game. I had so much
Part of me wants to play on Critical. I've never played on Critical before.
fun problem solving through certain boss fights and feeling that satisfaction of victory. There's something special about overcoming an enemy that has just been putting its hands on you. And Kingdom Hearts 3 finally added a hurdle worth climbing. And when you beat the game on critical mode, you unlock the proof of times past, which can then be exchanged with the Oblivion Keyblade later on. And with Oblivion offering one of the sickest form changes in the game, it was definitely worth the process. Although now, Kingdom Hearts 3 ran into another issue. With all of this new difficulty, we still had very few bosses to test this out on. We did have the Dark Inferno, which could be faced in the Keyblade Graveyard after beating the game, but there's a reason why he was dubbed the Kingdom Hearts community's punching bag. People would just fight him to flex out the new combos in Keyblade. But it wasn't to the level of other secret bosses we've seen in the past. But there's still something missing to really show us that extra bit of challenge. Something to remind us what Kingdom Hearts is truly capable of. You know where I'm going with this.
If you truly possess great power, the darkness can't control you.
This is one of the greatest pieces of content to ever touch the Kingdom Hearts series. It feels so weird that this is part of the DLC exclusively. This is the first time we received content for Kingdom Hearts. Hearts, but it functions similarly to the final mix type content we got in the past, where new content was introduced to recontextualize the story along with some new boss fights. Releasing on January 23rd, 2020 on PlayStation, almost a full year after the game was released. There were 2 versions of the DLC. The first
I guess I forgot it was a year. It felt a lot longer. Maybe I don't think I played it until 2021 or 2022.
This one cost $29.99, while the second was for $39.99, but included a recording of the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra. This time it follows Sora during the events of the Keyblade Graveyard, as we see him using the power of waking to jump from hearts to hearts to save his friends from oblivion, and get one step closer to Kairi along the way. A big thing that Remind does is that it remedies a lot of what Kingdom Hearts 3 did is because they aren't afraid to show us the content. There are a lot of story decisions in the vanilla version of the game that completely fall flat without the context being later added in Remind.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of a point that I made. Let's rehear that point on What Time Speed.
DLC, the first one cost to Hearts. A lot of story decisions of what Kingdom Hearts 3 did is because they aren't afraid to show us the content. There are a lot of story decisions in the vanilla version of the game that completely fall flat without the context being later added in Remind. I use the moment with Aqua in the Keyblade Graveyard as an example, where in the vanilla version, Aqua seems to just give up during an incredibly stressful situation, which is fairly out of character for her, especially for how dire things are. She just drops her Keyblade and accepts the darkness overtaking her. This led a lot of people to look at Aqua like, how could she fall so easily? It made her character seem weak without much of an explanation. It was more so left to the player's interpretation. Now, when we look at the scene in Remind, we're able to actually see the truth, as Aqua is petrified of the darkness, showing the forms of herself when she was trapped in that realm, which was obviously a very traumatizing moment for that character. But we get to see what's coming from Aqua's eyes. We get to see the fear overtake her in this moment with proper reasoning. And there's so many moments like this in Remind that just add the context I need for the story to be satisfying. I think about how they talk about
Well, I don't know. Like, I think I talked about that scene too yesterday or the day before when I streamed. And, like, I feel like it's implied enough to figure it out, right? That she's got PTSD. I don't actually recall, like, this scene, like, this is fine. Like, yeah, that's good. But, like, I don't think the player needs these flashbacks. And I actually don't know if this is editing from Sky or if it's in the actual game itself. KH3 Remind cutscenes, I guess. Let's see if they actually added it to the cutscenes. It's gonna be Keyblade Graveyard stuff. Blah 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 blah. It's gonna be with the I think it's here.
Now, Pat, the place where you'll return fate. Sadness and heart.
It's when Demon Tide shows up, which is here.
Kyrie. Oh,
Too late.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. So those were editing decisions. Yeah, so this is a lot better. Oh, wait, no, it does show the anti-forms. I forgot about that. Okay. Oh, no, it does show the flashbacks. Yeah, this is a show versus... I agree that this is a show versus tell point. I don't think the flashbacks are necessary. See, her seeing the anti-Aqua form is fine. But I think just the shocked face and expression and her saying, no, it can't be. I feel like that's fine enough. You know, like, you can get the implication that she's traumatized. I mean, honestly, just kind of from this face. I don't think you need to be spoon-fed everything going on from her perspective. Now, I guess since you're astral Sora seeing these things, like, from her perspective, so it makes more sense.
As Aqua is petrified of the darkness, showing her forms of herself when she was trapped in that realm, which was obviously a very traumatizing moment for that character.
Yeah.
But we get to see what's coming from Aqua's eyes. We get to see the fear overtake her in this moment with proper reasoning. And there's so many moments like this in Remind that just add the context I need for the story to be satisfying. I think about how they talk about...
Yeah, I just wouldn't agree with the flashbacks, but otherwise I think it's okay.
The power of waking in the vanilla version of the game, where characters are constantly telling Sora about the risk of abusing this power. But through the vanilla, these characters are just telling you When we
Yeah.
get to Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, there's a scene with Sora and Kairi where they're in the final world, and we see Sora dealing with the power of waking as his entire being is starting to fade away. We can see that he's starting to pay that ultimate price, and Kairi is none the wiser, almost making this situation even sadder, as he's hiding the truth that he's hurting because he doesn't want to worry her. And personally, I feel like that's a lot more impactful than someone just telling me that this bad thing is going to happen. Remind
Yes, but granted, it still doesn't really like tell you what the power of waking is, right? Like you see the consequences of it, sure. I mean, even in the vanilla game, you saw the consequences of it. Sora leaves at the end of the game, right? He gets faded out of existence. So like having the scene where you see his hand fade adds to that a little bit. Here's the consequences of your actions, but it's still not quite A plus B equals C. It's just, well, here's C. You know what I mean?
shows me, while Kingdom Hearts 3 tells me. Of course, the
Yeah.
best indication of this is how they handled Kairi and Remind. Where in Vanilla, she just seems like another damsel in distress, but in Remind, they gave her multiple scenes of her throwing hands with some of the strongest villains in the game. And to top it all off, they made her fully playable, and she functions so differently from everybody else. I love her combos and how she's able to teleport around the map by throwing her Keyblade. Her battle quotes are also very on character, and overall just make Kairi actually feel like she's part of this wide ensemble. To lightning round the Remind episode real quick, because honestly, I could be here all day. I love how they had that moment with the Guardians all working together, and we got it in the sauciest way possible with these team combos and small interactions between these beloved characters. For it to end with them placing King Mickey in a 13 versus 1 battle, showing us that he is the king.
Pretty sure it's
of
12.
absolute unit. This
There's
moment is
12
so cool
replicas.
from a gameplay perspective, no crazy combos or anything, but the amount of iconic moments to come from this alone, just seeing them all work together, this was my Avengers assemble. I'm literally getting chills just
Yeah.
thinking about it. They also made Riku and Aqua playable for a few battles with their own special moves. I do wish they were available for more than just their normal fight, but it's
Yeah.
a nice little touch. They also made Scala and Kyla more of a world this time around, instead of
Yeah.
the location just being 2 rooms and then the final battle. We were able to explore this beautiful landscape and see the architecture of the town. Scala is obviously a very important location for lore, so to be able to explore it was everything. But the cream of the crop has got to be the changes to the ending, where before we got to see the paths of all of our friends and how they're living their lives after the Keyblade War. For Remind, you see how Sora and Kairi are working together to fix everything. And in my opinion, it makes for a stronger and
I actually don't remember that scene. I guess it's... That's the final battle. Okay, it's gotta be like here then. Whatever he's talking about.
What they were. Kyrie. They were here. They'll be alright.
Yeah, the fading scene.
Just
We're heading. Hearts are.
Wait, where are they going? Oh, heading home.
This out.
This is the version of Dearly Beloved. Maybe. Hold on, maybe. Hold. This is the one I want in the title screen. Oh my god. Which one is this? This one is so much better than the one that's actually played during the title screen. Where were they? Oh, Disney. Okay, Disney Town or Disney Castle. Okay. Oh. So they're like returning the Infinity Stones. That's kind of the gist. I do like that Roxas is back in his official clothes. Oh yeah, what is this? Oh. So that's how they get Naminé. Sora unlocks Kairi's heart, releasing Naminé. Essentially, that's the idea. kind of do like that their faces are hidden during that scene. I wonder if Kyrie knew that Sora was gonna fade away.
Ending than what we initially got. I
All
was
right.
so bitter about this story for so long, I made an entire video where I basically rewrote the whole game. This was my therapeutic way of handling it at the time, and I made that before Remind even came out. I really do think the DLC improves on the story in such massive ways because it fills in those little blanks that just makes it so much juicier. And I'm only talking about the first episode of 3 that this DLC adds. After clearing out Remind, you have access to the limit cut episode.
All right, before he does limit cut, I'm gonna get my dog real quick. All right.
So for this time, you play a reboot hunt for Sora and the event. And would you look at that, they brought back the Final Fantasy characters. One of the biggest critiques was their absence in the base game. And like, no one is looking at the Final Fantasy characters in these games as a means of pushing the story forward in a meaningful way. In fact, I think we all love their cameos and how they fit in the story in their own way. Having them around makes the Kingdom Hearts experience feel more complete, since these characters have been around since the very beginning. A colossal W to bring them back, and I hope they continue this trend. Please don't forget about Final Fantasy. Upon it.
Okay, sweet, yeah. Like, I agree with Sky. Like, it's not necessary to push the plot forward, but it doesn't need to be. Like, it's a part of Kingdom Hearts' identity, and, I mean, it's been there since the beginning. Why not include them?
Analyzing some data, the player will now need to face off against the new Data Organization 13. Being similar to the ones in Kingdom Hearts 2, these battles are amongst the most difficult in the series. And I mean that in the most honorable way because I loved getting absolutely bodied by these members. When Remind came out, I streamed the game basically all day for several days, and it was just me battling these bots. Every single battle had something unique about them that made me put on my big boy pants. Combining this with the critical mode difficulty, and you had hours of content ahead of you. The way they designed these bosses, it's incredible. It's one of the few situations where I couldn't believe how fun these fights were, especially looking at the other secret boss that the Osaka team made with the Dark Inferno. I always thought these boss battles would be good, but not this good. In fact, these are some of the best fights in the entire series. The amount of creativity you have with Sora and all of his toys, there's countless different ways of handling it. I remember when Remind came out, a lot of people complained that it was too difficult when compared to the base game, and they were absolutely right. I think the team took those easy comments personally and went to work.
I don't know. I mean, like, again, I haven't played it on Critical, but I've beaten these fights twice, both on Proud, and I never really had a whole lot of, like, trouble. Granted, I didn't play with necessarily, like, cheats, but, like, with mods that gave you other, like, certain abilities and stuff, and for the most part, I could just spam X. But again, Critical Mode, the stats are different, the health is different, so that just might be the difference.
You couldn't even continue the story until you beat all 13 of them. Obviously, gaming was back. All leading up to the secret episode where we face off against Yasora. Already, this entire setup is super bugged out. You're meaning to tell me that the character in a random cutscene from the Toy Story world is going to be one of the toughest secret bosses to ever touch the sticks? I wouldn't believe you, but here we are in the realistic version of Shibuya fighting.
Yeah, that is just, it's an odd thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, remember this random animal from Jungle Book? By the way, it's going to be important later. It's like, what?
Dylan Sprouse on top of a skyscraper for our freedom. You remember the first time Yuzora took your Keyblade and beat you with it? Or the time he stole your Kupo coin from right outside of your pockets? Yuzora is a masterclass in trial and error since I thought this battle was going to be unwinnable.
Yuzora
I
was
remember
strong.
dying in seconds when I first beat it up. But then after a bit of dodging and probing, we were able to get our combos in, eventually winning us the battle, and what a satisfying win that was.
Pop off, Sky.
Remind gave us those little bits of story that need to propel us into the future of the series. And it showed us that the Osaka team has the power to create unbelievable boss fights. It's absolute peak performance and makes me excited for what they're going to do next. And we're still waiting to see what happens next. This dropped back in 2020, and while we got new story stuff from Melody and Memory and Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, we're still waiting for a more traditional Kingdom Hearts experience. And to hold us off on that wait, Square Enix did something insane. Something that nobody was anticipating, but opened up Kingdom Hearts in a way that we've never seen before.
Tell me more.
Oh, PC, yeah.
2021, Epic Games in the series back to the PC event with the community with the characters. I've seen Kirk the Fool with physics and all. In that world, like like importing Insomnia from Final Fantasy 15 and having it explorable with physics and all. And that's not
Yeah.
even mentioning the massive Kingdom Hearts 3 Coliseum mod, where the base game didn't have a playable Coliseum. A mod like that makes it feel so realistic it almost feels like it's part of the real game, with different
Yeah.
challenges and playable characters with its own interactable section in Olympus. This mod goes above and beyond in showing us what's possible.
It really is. It's easily probably the best Kingdom Hearts 3 mod.
Do you know how excited people are to play Kingdom Hearts?
And this was how many years ago? This was 2 years ago, and that mod is still like cream of the crop.
Also that they're making the game themselves in Kingdom Hearts 3, with full locations of Quadratum and model switches for Sora and such. Then there's the Kingdom Hearts 3 randomizer, where you run around the world in any order to hunt for hidden treasure, only being allowed to beat the game once you collect all 3, completely changing how you experience this game from start to finish. In fact, the Kingdom Hearts randomizer is almost endless in its content, since players can re-roll any items they need. Any playthrough won't be identical from the last. I also gotta mention the custom Keyblade mods for myself and my fellow Keykeepers. Dalin, I honestly cannot thank you enough still to this day. The feeling of having your own custom Keyblade with its own form, changes, and lighting effects, it's honestly one of the sickest feelings in the world. And none of this would have happened if the games never made their way to PC. Every time I check the mod page, there's always something new and incredible. Just recently, I faced off against a modded version of Sora where he was completely blowing my back out. Custom boss fights and everything. Like, the modding community has done so much for Kingdom Hearts.
I would actually like to do the Sora fight. I haven't seen that one.
Blue Box nature has made the wait for the next game so much more bearable, since the community took it upon themselves to cook us the content that even the developers did. But
Yeah.
Of course, my absolute favorite part of
Yeah, and like that's like a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because like on the one hand, you kind of would have hoped that the developers would have still given you like some stuff, like a Coliseum, right? Like that being a very good key example. But on the other hand, like things like Kermit the Frog or like the trace menu that he showed just here, right? Like this stuff is like obviously okay. Well, a fan would probably want that more than the developer. But yeah,
this
that's
version of the game has
that's my deal.
moments like being able to mute the music and play my own stuff on replays has cracks. It makes replaying so much more because eventually a lot of people who just refuse to get it on the Epic Game Store, which is totally valid. But I know when that Steam port eventually arrives, the floodgates to all
Like your trip around the world opened your eyes, but you got a little bit more than you anticipated. You must have seen a lot of darkness.
Critical Mode, the Remind DLC, and the PC ports have added so much to the Kingdom Hearts 3 conversation that I feel like talking about the original and the completed versions are two completely different experiences. I want
Yeah.
to emphasize again that Kingdom Hearts 3 is the most important video game of my life. I'm gonna get a little personal, but I feel like it's the only way for me to talk about this game. So for those of you who don't know, I did have an older channel named Skyward Wing with the same name as this one. Some of you might not know that, but it's important. I started that channel and making Kingdom Hearts videos at a very developmental age. I was just 17 years old and started garnering an audience for making videos about my favorite series. I was just in high school, but from this I was able to meet so many new people, characters in my life that I would form lifelong bonds with. We shared in that Kingdom Hearts 3 hype and enjoyed the journey along the way. And I kept making videos all throughout college. Making videos on the series opened up so many doors to the point where I was invited to California to play the game early. And I worked on that channel for about 6 or 7 years. Most of
Oh my god! No! Oh. Oh no.
California to play
Hold
the game
on.
early. And I worked on that channel for about
What's the timestamp? 1613?
six or 7 years. Most of my developmental years were dedicated to making videos for you guys. And it's all because of Kingdom Hearts 3. So when the game finally came out, after making videos about it for years and getting it in my hands and finally playing it, it was such a defeating feeling to not like the game. For many,
Yeah, I remember I mentioned this in my last live stream, but also in the review of the game. Like, just a couple days before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, my stomach was, like, turning over at the thought of this game being bad. I was so scared and worried about it.
Kingdom Hearts is just a series you play and maybe move on to the next one. But I was actively a part of that experience from start to finish. It was more than just a video game for me. It helped me develop my YouTube hobby and editing skills and so much more. Even right now, as I'm talking about this, you're watching this, and that's insane. Like, do you ever ever think about that? Especially since you made it this far in the video? It's a crazy feeling that I sit in all the time making this content stuff. So when I didn't like the game, I felt this sense of disconnect from it all. As someone
Yeah.
who's actively a part of the hype for the game, to not like it threw me for a loop. And there was a lot going on during this time. I mean, do I have to get into the grittiness that was 2020? At this point, it almost felt like I was forced to make these videos, and I kind of grew a resentment towards it all. Being in combination of postgraduate depression combining with that
Mood.
COVID depression, your boy was not doing too hot during this era. So much so that I was in such a dark place, I decided to completely take down my channel, removing hundreds of videos in an instant without thinking about it. It was like me wanting to close a chapter of my life and leave it behind. Eventually after that, I did make videos and had a few username changes, if you remember that. But it was never the same. I never got that same level of enjoyment out of making content. I spent so many years of my life being Skyward Wing that I had to ask myself, who was I? And those are the big questions you start to answer as part of growing up. I resented the channel and pushed away a big part of who I was, which is something that I regret to this day. Not because I wanted my old channel back, but a big reason for that is actually because of you guys. I didn't realize how many people were so nostalgic over my older videos that I would get constant comments of where they disappeared to, or people just asking me how these videos helped them through some tough time. And I'm so grateful to you guys for that. You have no idea.
That's very sweet. Alright, well, I think that's about it. So I basically agree with the majority of his points. Like, I don't agree with the show and tell thing. Like, I think you can still, not necessarily infer, but I think that there's a decent amount of exegesis that can be made from certain scenes, like the Aqua thing, right? Like, I don't think you needed to see flashbacks of Aqua haunted in the Realm of Darkness. Like, just her being, like, shocked is enough. You can kind of infer the fact that she's traumatized from there. The Final Fantasy point, I agree with. The Power of Waking, I feel like, is another show and tell issue. Like, they did a lot of showing. They did not do a whole lot of telling that I feel like was necessary. The fights are all good. Yeah. I feel, and then the mod stuff is also fine. See, the thing with the mods, though, is, like, it is a double-edged sword. Because, like, on the one hand, I feel like you have to hold Square Enix to some kind of, like, standard of your expectations of, like, what you expect the game to be, especially after 6 years of development but 13 years of waiting, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my perspective on it. I basically agree with a lot of his points. I wonder if this video was made more so in a way of being pretty, like, generalized, or if, that's so funny. 6'7". Or if he's got, like, some more hot takes somewhere else. But overall, good video. I agree with his points. We can move on to a different apologist video. One person that whose content I really don't care for is HMKilla. HMK, or HMK. I, like, really... I kind of don't want to watch his content. I really don't like him. Which isn't, like, a personal hate. He irks me.
What in the Keyblade graveyard?
Which I guess is personal. No, not really. What's the next shortest one? This one?
I'm someone who usually feels
Okay. Is this, oh yeah, this is post Remind. This is 2 years ago. Almost 3. Appreciate all the support, blah, blah, blah. Clearly I love Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay. Alright. Let's,
feels pretty in touch with public opinion surrounding media.
okay. He's got this, set up. Okay. Critical mode, I don't really care about. I haven't played critical mode, although I intend to. So my thoughts are kind of meh on that. But let's talk about combat.
Also, this game throws you right into the action and doesn't waste our time at all. You have the option to complete a small combat tutorial first, but the devs know that lots of people playing this game are going to be veterans, so this time around we don't need a full tutorial role, and we're thrown right into the action with a decent-sized group Heartless encounter, where right off the bat we can play around with some of the new utility that Sora has engaged with. From the jump with the water spell, with both defensive and offensive capabilities, giving you this little shield before sending out a splash, versus fire with its straight-up heat-seeking damage utility. Now, we also have access to counters, which allow us to strike back after a properly timed guard, and now we can dash in midair, which is really convenient since this game has a fair amount of large bosses, designed with the intention of showing off the epic scale of KH3 and its brand new engine. So you're going to be spending a lot of time in the air. Therefore, Sora simply had to be a bit lighter and more mobile in the air in order to accommodate this new design philosophy. People love to shout floaty, but this game has a really solid weight to it that accommodates for both ground and air enemies. And, on top of this, there are plenty of quality of life improvements, such as being able to use potions and guard midair, which I honestly find myself wishing I could do in every other KH game now. More combat options are almost always a good thing. This game has actually made a number of quality of life improvements over past titles. In particular, now we have the prepare and retry option, which allows us to modify our items, abilities, equipment, magic, anything that we would do in the start menu, but we don't have to leave the combat encounter. You can just change whatever few things you need and hop right back into that encounter. And we can also map links to our shortcut menu, and we actually have the option to customize 3 different sets of shortcuts, which we can cycle through during battle. But regarding the floatiness, there is still plenty of encouragement to stay on the ground, considering that Sora's air dash has much more end lag than dodge roll, and certain keywords like favorite deputy are much more effective on the ground. Its transformations of long animations and slow attacks cover a lot of ground and have higher stagger potential for some of your more sturdy enemies, but it's not nearly as effective in the air. Also, did you know that you can throw out a guard, dodge roll, or air dash to cancel out of a combo at basically any time? You can also do this with air step, which is an awesome ability acquired through Olympus that allows you to fly towards basically any target you lock onto. So while you're actively completing a combo on one target, you can be using your shot lock to choose another target that you can then fly directly towards. But dodge canceling actually combos really well with the shooting star form change, which throws out these homing projectiles each time you dash, as well as the ever after, which creates these clones each time you dodge, which will lock onto and fire at your target when you press the attack button. So as long as you dodge cancel rather than completing a finisher, your clones will stick around, allowing you to constantly bombard your target for an endless stream of damage. Sora's movement abilities are crazy in this game. On top of being able to run up walls.
So real quick before, we're in abilities now. So the weightiness, so it's strange because like kind of repeating a little bit from the Kingdom Hearts 3 review that I made back in 2019, is that the game looks floaty. It looks like Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance floaty. And for like some of you who may not know necessarily what that means, it's essentially the idea that there's a good amount of in lag in those games, and so you like stagger in the air before moving on into the falling animation. Whereas from Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, or like Chain of Memories and whatever else, that just doesn't exist, right? When you fall, you fall. When you finish with the combo, you fall, right? So this is Kingdom Hearts 3 looks very floaty, but it doesn't feel floaty. At least in my opinion, it doesn't feel as floaty. It definitely feels a little bit floatier from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but like if you're going to do a comparison, like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 have no floatiness, they're at a 0, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance have like a 10 floatiness. Kingdom Hearts 3 is like maybe a 3.5. Like really, it's like it's so minimal you don't really feel it, but it does look like there's floatiness, right? I think a lot of that like kind of analysis came from the trailers, but I think one thing that we just didn't account for at the time of the trailers was the person that was playing in the trailer gameplay just wasn't mashing X, right, or doing like other combos and stuff like that. But that's that. The combo stuff is a very true and fair point. Like the ability to cancel combos, that's a very like high, not competitive, but like it's a very like a good Kingdom Hearts tech thing, and I don't think that's bad by any means. The quality of life features, like being able to prepare and retry, having links in your shortcuts, that's all good. What else? Let's just go back from here. He was talking about run up walls.
Level design have more verticality than ever before in the series, but air step not only allows you to target and fly towards enemies, but also specific points of interest. And flow motion allows us to bounce off walls and spin on railings, but it's limited here, unlike Dream Drop, where you can only do it a few times before falling back to the ground. And all of those abilities can be turned off in the ability menu if they're not a thing. All of this might sound like we're super overpowered in KH3, and we certainly are in lower difficulties, but on critical mode, these are just tools in our belt for crowd control, more heartless at a time than.
So I will say the point about critical mode shouldn't be like the only difficulty. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're not playing critical, you're not getting a challenge. Like there's beginner, there's standard, and there's proud. Like if you don't want a challenge, play beginner. If you like want a moderate sort of challenge, play standard. Proud should be hard, right? So I guess that's one point. What's like the timestamp?
Bounce off walls and spin. Those abilities can be turned off in the ability menu if they're not a thing. All of this might sound like we're super.
8:20. I'll close this. We don't need them anymore. Opponents isn't the word I'm thinking of. Enemies? I'll refrain from saying because I don't know that for a fact.
We're overpowered in KH3, and we certainly are in lower difficulties, but on critical mode, these are just tools in our belt for crowd controlling more Heartless at a time than any game before. And not every ability, Link, or Keyblade is great in every scenario.
Right.
So sometimes you really just have to experiment and find out what's best for that specific encounter. And the addition of Keyblade upgrades, as well as equipping 3 Keyblades at a time that we can swap through, means that you have to carefully consider which form changes you value most in the long term, since you can activate one and swap out of it to store it for later. But regardless of where you are in the game, if you're fond of a specific Keyblade, you can keep using it throughout the entire game, since they are upgradable through the Keyblade Forge, which increases their stats and attaches unique abilities. Additionally, this is the first game in the series with a New Game Plus mode, which means that any Keyblades that you unlock in your first playthrough, you can take back on the second playthrough, and you don't have to go through all that work necessary for unlocking the ultimate weapon again. You can just play through the whole game with it. It's great. Now, it is true that there's no cost for using form changes like the drive gauge and cage,
Yep.
but I'm going to tell you why that's not a bad thing. You must always be considering which Keyblade you're using in the moment-to-moment gameplay for their stats alone. And on top of that, you have to be watching your situation gauge as it fills so that you have the proper Keyblade equipped that you want to activate the form change for, as some are simply better in certain situations, as I said before. I love the Happy Gear, but for certain fights, I value my guard way too much in order to give it up for the dual claws or yo-yos, which are otherwise great at handling large mob fights. And the favorite deputy Drill and Hammer are great at stun-locking the large but first enemies of Monstropolis, but you won't catch me taking that thing into the fight with the Lump Core, the boss of that world. I'd much rather use the Ever After, where I can keep my distance as I simply watch my positioning and laser it. There's also an added pressure that comes along with having.
That's not true for lower difficulties, though. In lower difficulties, you can just spam whatever Keyblade you want, right? Like the emphasis that he's adding about like the importance of what Keyblade you're getting your finishers or you're getting your Keyblade transformations off of is really only true in critical.
I'm going to tell you why that's not a bad thing.
Let's do 9:30.
Or each time you fill the situation gauge, you will simply be replenishing a bit of the timer for your form change. There may not be a resource that you spend like the drive gauge, but there are already resources we spend for many of our other abilities, such as the shot lock gauge, or our MP bar for magic, or full MP bar, which is required in order to use links.
But that's true for every game.
The trade-off for form changes is simply the risk of playing more aggressively and the extra attention required to watch which Keyblade you're using and how much time you have left in that form.
But there is no risk.
You may argue that you're basically always going to be in some kind of form change, and yeah, that's kind of the case. But
Yeah.
form changes aren't so overpowered that there has to be such a big trade-off system. They're really mainly there to shake up the gameplay, and they give you an extra element that you have to look out for watching your timer and situation gauge while you're in the middle of combat. Now,
I know. I disagree.
well, I'm not going to be going any deeper into the mechanics of the individual form changes or anything because they're all incredibly unique and well designed. But BioRoxas has done a breakdown for every single one of them, and I highly recommend checking those out if you haven't already, if you'd like more of an in-depth look at their mechanics and designs. I will say though, the Keyblade designs are much more complex here compared to past games. Many of the Keyblades look very cartoony. You might call them over-designed, but they do look like they've been stripped right out of their respective movies. There's no mistaking which world each Keyblade is from. And since the KH3 worlds are the most accurate,
I do feel like this one is a little bit more obscure. Like the nano, I get it that it's the nano gear, but aside from the nanobots, like there's the bubble gum, I guess, but like nothing else really about this screams Baymax. You know what I mean?
creations in the entire series, it really makes sense that the Keyblades would take on a more animated look.
And the bubble gums aren't even Baymax; they're one of the other Big Hero 6 characters.
Now, as for magic in this game, it's also the best it's ever been. We can now cast spells while moving, and certain spells are altered based on which form change you're active, and there are magic counters for many of your element-based enemies. Water counters the fire cores, and fire counters the water cores, of course, but many enemies can be frozen with blizzard or stunned with thunder. Arrow removes the petals from the dandelion harvest, and fire can damage Marluxia's nobodies when they are otherwise invulnerable. And this is all on top of my favorite details, that Blizzard leaves behind an ice trail on the ground that we can slide on with flow motion, or Arrow giving us this huge boost into the air. There are so many ways to not only counter and interact with enemies, but to move around the environment as well. This definitely isn't a mash X to win kind of game. I mean, technically, yeah, you can win that way, just like any other KH game, but it's going to take you way longer to win like that than if you actually just take the time to learn the mechanics of the game, which, in my opinion, always feels way more satisfying.
I disagree. I think you can just mash X for even for proud mode. You can just mash X more or less.
Especially on critical, every one of your victories will feel well earned.
Well, especially on critical. No, bro, it's just critical.
People argue that things like the Kupo coin make this game easier, which will revive you a single time once you reach 0 HP. But you can only hold one at a time, and if you're trying to use one on every single encounter, you're not going to be able to afford very many, since they cost 400 money each, which is the same cost as 10 potions. Yes, it makes the game easier, but so do potions, food, and XP grinding.
Food does make the game easier. Potions don't. You're not normally buying just potions. You're normally going to buy high potions or whatever else. XP grinding, sure, man. This is still a fair enough of a.
Kupo coin makes you satisfying, and especially on critical, every one of your victories will feel well earned. And people will argue.
Okay. Now I'm not arguing that the Kupo coins make the game feel too easy. I think they're fine in any difficulty, because like if you're having trouble playing the game, then go buy a Kupo coin, right? But if you're not, then they're just there. You know what I mean? Like you're not forced to use them. So
Things like the Kupo coin make this game easier, which will revive you a single time once you reach 0 HP. But you can only hold one at a time, and if you're trying to use one on every single encounter, you're not going to be able to afford very many, since they cost 400 money each, which is the same cost as 10 potions. Yes, it makes the game easier, but so do potions, food, and XP. And if you're someone who's complained about this item, just don't use it. If you can refrain from level grinding, you can also refrain from buying a Kubo coin.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
getting way ahead of myself here, just talking about the gameplay. We haven't even left Olympus yet, which does ration out our new abilities one at a time as you progress through the world. That way the player's not too overwhelmed by all of the new tools at their disposal. And with each new mechanic, we're given a combat encounter where you can test it out. So Olympus serves the dual purpose of giving the player opportunities to attune to all of the abilities at their disposal, while also being a fully fleshed out, diverse world and level that doesn't strictly function as a tutorial. It's great. The fact that Olympus has appeared in nearly every single KH game, yet they found a way to keep it still feeling new and fresh, is a huge win in my book. It actually feels like 3 miniature worlds all in one. One in the city, one where you're scaling an enormous cliff face, and finally one in the clouds of Olympus itself. Each segment is nearly the size of your average KH2 world. It is just incredible. Now, from here on out, I'm going to be talking about each individual world and all that they accomplish. Because in KH3, they're the best they've ever been in the series, and it's really no contest. Much like KH1, each world has a unique design philosophy that sets them apart from each other. No two worlds look even remotely similar, and they all play very differently, many with their own unique mechanics that help to immerse you in these Disney environments. Additionally, the story comes up with some very good reasons for each organization or team member to appear in each world, as they all work towards various goals that contribute to their master plan of forcing our heroes to clash with them in order to forge the Keyblade. By nature of the setup, we're not really able to have any combat encounters with Organization 13 prior to the final battle, because putting themselves at risk of dying while trying to fill out their ranks would be awfully counterintuitive. And it's not like they want to kill Sora either, since they need him to partake in the final battle. So yeah, all of the organization encounters are saved for the end of the game. Regardless, encountering the org members one by one as we visit each world is a great job of establishing lots of different villains, 12 to be exact, while giving them each their own time to shine so that we're familiar with them by the time we get to the final battle, which the entire game will be set about. And many of them fit into their respective Disney world really well, thematically and story-wise. Though I must admit some are more fitting than others, so I'll be taking a look at that aspect as well. However,
Yeah.
on the gameplay side of things, I must acknowledge that the traversal in this game may take some getting used to. Considering that it feels like there's a bit of lag when moving Sora back and forth between opposite directions, this is because the devs gave him these realistic footwork animations, which means that he has to adjust between directions when you're moving around quickly, and then when wall running, you still use the left joystick to move left and right while advancing vertically, but if you move the joystick slightly too far to the side, Sora will spin the fuck out and start moving horizontally. These are not so much criticisms though, as they are just things that take getting used to, but I can totally understand if you personally find this to be annoying. And on the topic of wall running, this feature comes with this kind of ugly sheen that covers many of the walls, indicating which ones can be run on. I stopped noticing it after a while, so it's not really an issue for me personally, but again, I wish this is something we could turn off in the settings, since on my 10th playthrough of the game, I was pretty certain of which walls I could and couldn't run on. Anyway, the first world we visit after Olympus is Twilight Town. It looks gorgeous as ever, and it actually has NPCs now, making it feel like a truly lived-in environment. Though, I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. This damn invisible barrier that prevents us from traveling up the road to visit the clock tower.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why? Stupid bastard.
This is simply indefensible. I mean, if the devs didn't have a reason for us to visit the Sandlot or Secret Place, I get it. You don't have to include them in the game. But the clock tower, it's one of the most iconic locations in the series, and being able to see the street right there, only to instead be greeted by this message when trying to go there, is just insulting. Hollow Bastion and the Mysterious Tower didn't have to be explorable if there was no gameplay reason for us to be there. It would be like going to Disney Castle in KH1, which, like Mysterious Tower in KH3, was shown in an early trailer for the game, but was cut in the final product. The devs want to be sure that there's a purpose for every world, and even every single room within that world. I get it, but the clock tower is right there. Surely they must have known that people would want to go there, but I digress.
Well, but there's less of a reason to go to the clock tower than there would be Mysterious Tower. Right? Like, nothing happens at the clock tower. It's just nice to go to and look at. Whereas in Mysterious Tower, there were enemies in the trailer. You could talk to Yin Sid. Like, I don't know. Like, just the idea that, oh, well, we don't have to go there, so we don't need to, I don't necessarily agree with.
Bastion and the Mysterious Tower there, only to instead be greeted by this message when trying to go there, is just insulting. Hollow Bastion and the
17, what, 20? 30. I'll just make a note of that.
Mysterious Tower didn't have to be explorable if there was no gameplay reason for us to be there. It would be like going to Disney Castle in KH1, which, like Mysterious Tower in KH3, was shown in an early trailer for the game.
I don't think comparing Disney Castle and Kingdom Hearts 1 is a good, like, indicator, because
Like there's no precedent in Kingdom Hearts 1, right? Like you kind of have to take and leave Kingdom Hearts 1. Like it is what it is. It's the first game of the series. Man, this like pause screen looks terrible. But anyways, like them cutting Disney Castle, like what would you have done in Disney Castle in Kingdom Hearts 1? Like chronologically speaking, Mickey isn't there. Like, I guess, like, Donald and Goofy could have convinced Sora and been like, hey, let's go see if the king ever made it back to Disney Castle. You get back to Disney Castle, but, like, there's nothing to do there, right? Like, unless Heartless invaded and are attacking Minnie, and then Minnie gives you a hint as to where he could be. But Minnie didn't really seem to know where he was. Like, Minnie didn't know anything more than Donald and Goofy, right? So... yeah, lack of a gameplay reason. I don't feel, in air quotations, I don't feel like is a good point to not have worlds in the game, because like kind of like what I said here in my note is the fact that fans want these worlds in the game, right? They want to be able to explore the Colosseum. They want to be able to explore Traverse Town, Destiny Islands, and so on. And you can just make a gameplay reason. Like they are the developers. Like, they could have made a gameplay reason. Like, what do you mean lack of a gameplay reason?
Game that was cut in the final product. The devs want to be sure that there's a purpose for every world and even every single room within that world. I get it, but the clock tower is right there. Surely they must have known that people would want to go there.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference.
I digress. It's really not that big of a deal considering that Twilight Town is just meant to be our hub world, which actually gives us a few good reasons to keep coming back, despite it being the smallest hub world in the series.
I disagree. Like, well, okay, never mind. He's talking more about it.
It's got the postcards, which you receive after spending a certain amount of money on the Google shops, which can then be mailed out here. Then there's the bistro, which has these incredible micro games that produce food, which is actually incredibly crucial to the main game on critical mode, since it gives you temporary stat boosts. And while food can be bought from the shops, the best stat boosts are produced by succeeding at the micro games, which cook recipes based on the ingredients that you gather. KH3 is simply one of the least grindy KH games, as you're rewarded for simply progressing through and exploring the levels with ingredients you can use to cook meals that boost your stats, which then further assist you in progressing through the game.
Okay. Well, like earlier, he talked about XP grinding being a thing for the Kupo coin, but now he's talking about not needing XP grinding, right? But the bistro is available in every save point. So Twilight Town isn't really that much of a hub world, because like the bistro you can do from anywhere.
You might call this a different kind of grind, but I personally found this to be a really great way of encouraging me to engage with each environment and look for not only items and hidden Mickeys, but ingredients as well. The final hub element to Twilight Town is the 100 Acre Will, which really has been nerfed big time compared to KH1 and 2. No collectible torn pages which unlock new unique minigames, just 3 variations of basically the same game. Truthfully though, only about half of those past 100 Acre Will minigames were any good and worth playing. And I did have fun with this one, but this is seriously it? And only one room to, dare I say, explore? You can't deny how beautiful and fitting the cel-shaded design of this world is. It just seems like such a waste to make this world so tiny. Clearly Twilight...
It is really interesting, though. I never noticed. So, yeah, Sora, there is really good cell shading, right? Like the outlines and stuff on Sora, but take a look here.
Beautiful and fitting the cel-shaded design of this world is.
Sora loses the cell shading when it's overlapped with his own model. And, like, even then, it's not really as apparent on this bottom half of the glove. It's all over his back. It's just interesting.
It just seems like such a waste to make this world so tiny. Clearly Twilight Town wasn't a major focus for the devs though, and they leaned heavily into the basics this time, as every other world succeeds in basically everything. Now, on to Kingdom of Corona, the Tangled World. This one is probably the most similar to your typical KH2 type of world. You're basically traveling in a straight line from Rapunzel's tower to the kingdom itself. But along the way, there's a varied selection of environments which keeps the world from ever feeling too samey. There's the more open field areas where there's a number of small interactable elements that are completely skippable, but why would you ever do that when they're so cute? Which include being able to get in a splashing fight with Rapunzel in the pond, or blowing some dandelions with an arrow spell, which will send them flying, which Rapunzel loves. There's also the cliffside section, which adds some verticality and platforming, and a unique team up with Rapunzel, where she helps us swing across these big gaps. There's the dark forest, which is intentionally designed to be confusing. Everything looks kind of the same, and it's really easy to get turned around here. And finally, there's the kingdom itself, which features one of the best minigames in Kingdom Hearts history. That's right, I love this minigame. It's fun, but you actually have to, try a little bit in order to finish it. Sora having a great time dancing with these random strangers is so in character for him, and just the general upbeat atmosphere of this segment serves as a perfect contrast to what followed. A damn good mob encounter on the docks beneath the gorgeous floating lanterns.
I'm not crazy about the minigame, but that's a minute point.
The segment may be small, but it features a great minigame in Common Encounter, as well as lots of hidden items and lucky emblems, which are hidden Mickeys that we receive rewards for finding and photographing. They're hidden all over every world, and they give us just that much more of a reason to engage with each and every environment. And they really are worth searching for because they'll net you some pretty good rewards. And if you like the camera stuff, there's the photo missions that also give you some great rewards for tracking down and photographing specific Heartless. There's an entire Pokemon Snap minigame hidden within KH3, which is pretty cool and nobody's talking about it. Although, on the topic of the gummy phone, I must admit, its inclusion means that there's these weird Instagram loading screens, which I totally understand if people don't like. I find them to be super, super cute and a great way for sometimes getting into the headspace of the characters as they tweet about their journey. The only problem here is that it really serves to take away from the tension of the major moments, as you'll just get done with a really heavy section, and then we cut to Sora's Instagram post about it. So,
Yeah.
it's just weird seeing Kingdom Hearts being kind of, modern. But regarding the Kingdom
Yeah.
of Corona, Marluxia fits in perfectly here, because of his whole flower motif that goes right along with the entire plot of Tangle being based around a flower which gave Rapunzel her powers. And thus, Mother Gothel calls Rapunzel her little flower.
You must stay here, where you're safe. Do you understand, Flower?
This is on top of the fact that some of the Heartless you battle here are very plant-like, and so are
Well, it's not just the flowers.
which is nobody's, which mirror his whole rose petal thing. Additionally, he's here to keep an eye on and, quote-unquote, protect Rapunzel, who happens to be one of the new set of princesses of Heart. This informs the player that we must eventually clash with Xehanort, even though that's what he wants. Because we are
Oh, that's so true. Actually, just the 7 princesses. They're just not a thing.
characters which we spend time with and likely care about, i.e. Rapunzel and later on Anna and Elsa, which are all at risk of being harmed if we don't face the real Organization 13 eventually. Need another reason why Marluxia fits in perfectly here? How about the fact that he kept Naminé locked away in a single room in order to abuse her powers the same exact way that Mother Gothel did to Rapunzel? And now the sort of protection that Marluxia suggests to Rapunzel aligns exactly with Mother Gothel's goals. This world may repeat the plot of the movie beat for beat, but you really shouldn't act surprised at this considering that every KH game has done this with quite a few worlds. And in this game, only a few of them do that, which allows for much more creativity in other areas.
It's about half. It's about half in Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't know in the rest of them. Like, do you count Tarzan? Because like Tarzan is like it sort of follows the plot. Like Clayton wants to kill the gorillas. He wants to hunt them. But like that's like the only sort of thing, right? Like you don't get like a Son of Man arc for Tarzan. So I don't know.
Especially the Pixar worlds. Toy Box has 2 major segments, Andy's room and the street, as well as Galaxy Toys, an enormous toy store with multiple levels which we traverse through these central rails, as well as a section with ventilation shafts that connect the 2nd and 3rd floors. The main unique mechanic for this world are the mechas, which serve to mix up the gameplay, as there are 3 different ones, red, blue, and purple, each with their own unique powers. You may have fun with these, or you may not, but unfortunately, there are a few segments where they're forced to find, or there are several spots that are incredibly difficult without the use of the mechs, but then using them simply trivializes the encounter, such as these big dinosaur things, which will one-shot you on critical if you're not in the mech. Still, I find elements like this to mostly be a net positive for adding a fresh shake-up to the gameplay. That is, until they're forced upon you. The amount of player choice available in KH3 is great, and I'd rather simply have more options for how I handle the combat encounter, rather than basically being told I have to approach it one way and be punished if I don't. Still, this world is so good. There are so many great details, such as this rock'em cycle.
Well,
Have to approach it one way is great, and I'd rather simply have more options for how I handle the combat encounter, rather than basically being told I have to approach it one way and be punished if I don't.
I mean, yes and no. Like, on the one hand, I get the point of, like, wanting the variety of different gameplay options, but the double-edged sword with that comes from the fact of, like, okay, let me give you 8 different gameplay options to beat this boss fight. Well, now you're quote-unquote overpowered because you have 8 different ways to kill this boss, right? If I limit you to where, okay, like, only 2 of these ways are actually going to be effective against this boss fight, then yes, you're limited in your gameplay opportunities, but that also makes it more challenging, right? And therefore you're not as overpowered. So I guess that's like a double-edged sword point. Let's include that.
That is, until they're forced upon you. The amount of player choice available in
2410.
I have to approach it one way and be punished if I don't. Still, this world is so good. There are so many great details, such as this Rock'em Sock'em Robots minigame, or the helium cans you can smack to make your party's voices super high for a minute. Also, on a weird note, this world is not the real Toy Story world. Instead, it's a copy. We're basically playing in a pocket dimension, but this is just the Kingdom Hearts way of explaining why there are no humans around. This world wouldn't really work if we were constantly asking why there weren't any people in this massive open toy store in the middle of the day, or what if Andy popped back into his room while Woody and Buzz were away for hours fighting Heartless at Galaxy Toys. So, it works. And this is all happening because young Xehanort is conducting research here on the toys themselves, since they are all puppets that somehow possess hearts. This mirrors the organization's need for replicas, empty shells which house the hearts of the organization members that have traveled through time in order to join the real organization. It didn't necessarily need to be young Xehanort here, but he still does fit really well. The Toy Story series has always had strong themes about friendship. I mean, the theme song is literally called You've Got a Friend.
I feel like it does work for young Xehanort a good bit because of his fascination with hearts and just like like he's a student at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like that's like his shtick. But that's a minor point.
So this world is the perfect place to re-emphasize that Sora's friends are in fact his power, which basically contrasts how Xehanort left his only friend, Ericus, behind. Oh, and he's got no bitches, which Woody is sure to tell him.
My guess is no one's ever loved you. Wait till Sunday. Uh-oh, because you know nothing.
You can really tell that the Pixar writers got really hands-on with this game, and that they had a ton of fun creating a unique world and story. It was even confirmed that this takes place between Toy Story 2 and 3, though I'm not sure if they said it was actually canon to the Toy Story film universe. Although, wouldn't that be something? But canon or not, in Monstropolis, we get what is basically a true sequel to Monsters Inc., with Mike and Sully bringing Boo back for one final visit before Randall returns with the help of Vanitas in order to wreak havoc on Monsters Incorporated. This world has a number of unique traversal mechanics.
Is it really bringing Boo back? I just thought it was like during the events of the first movie, but like disconnected from the events of the first movie. Like they have Boo and they're moving around, but I didn't understand that like they brought her back. Or maybe I'm misinterpreting what he says.
But canon or not, in Monstropolis, we get what is basically a true sequel to Monsters Inc., with Mike and Sully bringing Boo back for one final visit before Randall returns with the help of Vanitas in order to...
Yeah, well, I guess so. What does Randall say in that scene he shows?
Mike and Sully bringing Boo back for one final visit before
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe.
Randall returns with the help of Vanitas in order to wreak havoc on Monsters Incorporated. This world has a number of unique traversal mechanics, including the Monsters Inc. doors, which basically teleport you to other parts of the map, the conveyor belts and lasers, which we can either try to dodge past, or we can use the cover mechanics to slide from one cover to another. It's fun.
The thing with the conveyor belt, though, is that you can turn them off. Like, that's what the game wants you to do, is find the switch to turn them off. That way you don't have to interact with them again. So, like, once you go through the world and turn them off, at least in my revisits of it, they've stayed off. So I have less incentive to actually care about having to do the slides and stuff.
Finally, there's a focus on rail sliding here, which does appear in both Olympus and Arendelle, but in those worlds, it's mostly skippable or small scale. Here we're sliding on the rails that carry the doors throughout the factory, which is really just such a cool detail. But the best part of this world is how perfectly Vanitas fits in here, since the creatures he commands, the Unversed, feed on negative energy. And where better to feed than a factory that literally used to collect negative energy in the form of children's screams. This world is the only one with the Unversed appear outside of the Keyblade Graveyard, and they have chosen to take on these funky looking designs that make them look like they're monsters straight out of the movie. Oh, and the boss of this world is just great. It has two different forms, each with different strengths and weaknesses. They serve as a
I do not agree about the boss being great.
example as to why Kingdom Hearts 3's combat is so good. The first form has very high defense, and you may notice that physical attacks don't do much to it, and it's very mobile, so getting those hits in may be difficult in general. Instead, it is weak to magic, particularly Blizzard, or you'll want to focus on single, heavy damage attacks and choose to impede its telegraphed charge attacks with a counter shield. Its second form has much lower defense and remains stationary, but closing the distance may be difficult since it will be blowing you back with wind, forcing you to deal with the tentacle arms surrounding the arena until you get your chance to close in on the boss, where physical attacks will deal normal damage. You can try to just mash X to win this fight, but you'll likely have a much harder time if you don't think about what keyblades, equipment, and shortcut magic you bring into this fight. Anyway, Vanitas is
Again, I feel like that's only true on Critical.
perfect for this world. He gets called out by Sora, showing that the writers are in fact very self-aware of the formula of this game.
This is the part where you spout some mumbo jumbo and disappear, right?
And then in his eagerness to reunite with his pal Ventus, he forgets about the 8-foot-tall kitty behind him, and then gets yeeted through a door, which then gets sent through another door, and then another door, and so on and so forth, in what is the best scene in Kingdom Hearts history, period. This shit is so funny, and it just goes to show how well-directed this game is compared to past games. Like, this is a genuinely really well-paced comedic bit, and I love how the Pixar characters really got to show a lot of agency in this game.
I do like that a good bit. I think it would have been funny of like seeing Vanitas like opening the door and then like being in those worlds and those worlds and those worlds, right? And I think it would have been cool if they were like either the other Disney worlds that are here in Kingdom Hearts 3 or some of the older ones. That's asking for too much, but it just would have been like additionally funny. I mean, because the other thing too is like Vanitas has access to the Dark Corridor, right? So, not that Sully and Mike would have known that, but he can just teleport out of there and go back to whatever world he wants to.
Often in KH, Sora either winds up as a passive participant in the story of the Disney characters, or they wind up as a passive participant in whatever he's got going on. But not in these worlds. Everyone gets to be an active member of this story.
I disagree for Frozen, but I digress.
Although, I must admit, Arendelle is pretty lacking. It has
Okay. Spoke too soon.
a formula where you're basically getting sent up and down a mountain over and over as you chase after Elsa. And the reason this world wound up so sterile is because Disney simply didn't want Square Enix to have any creative control over Frozen, their most precious cash cow. I mean, do you really think it was Nomura's idea to have Elsa sing the entirety of Let It Go while Sora, Donald, and Goofy just kind of hang out?
Watch.
Now, this world isn't all bad. In fact, it's really not that bad in general. The Ice Labyrinth adds a whole different dynamic in terms of level design. It's very claustrophobic, with lots of extra branching paths that often lead to various treasure. The Labyrinth does a great job of making the player feel confused and lost, without being an actual maze, which would likely only serve to frustrate the player. This world also perfectly captures the atmosphere of a cold, snow-covered mountain. It's got a very blue and white color palette, and pretty much every world in this game has great music, but here in particular, it does an excellent job of capturing the upbeat tone of Frozen, while also immersing us in this winter wonderland, with what sounds like sleigh bells ringing throughout the track intermittently, which makes the world feel very Christmassy. It's great. And can we talk about the bosses here? Marshmallow is a great fight. Takes me back to KH1 where the devs really had us fighting any and every Disney side character they could think of. And then
Yeah.
there's Paul. Holy shit, this is such a great fight. It clearly telegraphs all of its attacks, so they're easy to react to, but he's still a very imposing force with a widely varied moveset that you really have to pay attention to unless you're trying to get run over. There's also these great segments where you have to defeat a certain number of mini-clones within a certain period of time. Suddenly changing the objective mid-boss fight is a great way to challenge the player, and the addition of the time limit applies a whole new kind of pressure. The lead into these segments are also super cinematic, and the finisher is also just amazing. You can't tell me that this fight isn't infinitely more interesting than if we had fought Hans, who wound up basically cut from this world entirely. I have to be honest, he's a horribly uninteresting character, a lame twist villain, and frankly, any time spent in this world talking to him would have been a waste of our time, and I'm glad he was cut in favor of an incredibly cinematic and well-designed boss in the form of this Heartless. Also, Larxene is the organization member who appears here, and she serves the dual purpose of not only creating the Ice Labyrinth, the best segment of this world, but she also re-emphasizes that if we don't fight Xehanort, the organization are just going to use the Princesses of Heart to open Kingdom Hearts. And we know that Anna and Elsa, as well as Rapunzel now, are in danger if we don't go along with the organization.
So I guess it's
This
3.
is such an important detail that often gets overlooked. Tangled and Frozen and KH3 are the worlds that most closely follow the plots of the animated movies, yet they still give Sora one of his primary motivations that will lead us to the climax of the story. These are incredibly crucial setups for the climax, and to those that say that nothing happens in the Disney worlds, you're just wrong. And now, I feel like I have the least
Well, I mean, sort of. Like, let's go back.
role, but she also re-emphasizes that if we don't fight Xehanort, the organization are just going to use the Princesses of Heart to open Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that's like a show don't tell kind of thing, right? Because it's like jangling keys. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, if you don't do what we want, we're gonna do this other thing, and it's like it's a threat which I guess Sora doesn't want to like press. Like he doesn't want to think that it's an empty threat. But like, so these 3 are new Princesses of Heart. Is Kairi still a Princess of Heart? And then like Alice probably isn't. Ariel apparently isn't. So like, which of the other Disney worlds from 1 just aren't Princesses of Heart anymore? You know what I mean?
And we know
Like, I'm not saying we should have had like a whole Princesses of Heart arc where we see all 7 of them or whatever else. But like in Kingdom Hearts 1, it was a pretty dramatic deal to have the Princesses of Heart, right? Like they all contributed to this collective idea of being of pure light. But we don't really get that from these. Like, yeah, I'll add that as a minor point. 30, just 31 is what we'll do. I'm starting to get deja vu. So far, he's been like relatively fair.
Here's here, and she serves the dual purpose of not only creating the Ice Labyrinth, the best segment in this world, animated movies, yet they still give Sora one of his. To say that nothing happens in the Disney worlds, you're just wrong. And now I feel like I have the least to say about San Francisco, but it's still an amazing world that features multiple unique and fun minigame-esque segments that take full advantage of the sheer size of this map, including this great segment where you have to run all around freeing the Big Hero 6 members using each of Sora's different abilities. It's a huge world that can be explored during the day or night once you complete the main story, where Heartless actually won't appear during the day if you prefer to run around and explore, collecting chests, ingredients, and lucky emblems in peace. The story here is also really good, which functions as a true sequel to Big Hero 6, as we work with the team to develop their skills, allowing them to unlock upgraded versions of each of their powers. Which, by the way, this cutscene once again just goes to show how well animated this game is, especially compared to past titles. I think now is the perfect time for a Kingdom Hearts animated series. Just saying. Now this is all before Dark Riku shows up to corrupt the Baymax that was left behind in the portal in the original movie. This then turns him evil until we eventually defeat him, returning him back to normal. Unfortunately though, that boss fight is really underwhelming, as flying around on Baymax just feels really clunky, yet weightless at the same time.
Yeah.
The chase segment works really well, where you have to focus on what projectiles and obstacles Dark Baymax throws at you, as you decide whether to shoot, deflect, or dodge. But the actual combat portion is pretty weak. And Dark Riku's inclusion here may seem jarring to many, but it works really well thematically, since he, like Dark Baymax, was a friend turned corrupted by the darkness. And while it's not revealed until later, Riku is in fact a replica, which holds a good amount of irony, since he refers to this Baymax as a puppet, when, in reality, he himself is one.
What?
Like Dark Baymax, was a friend turned corrupted by the darkness.
Okay. Well, let's start here.
Shoot, deflect, or dodge. But the actual combat portion is pretty weak. And Dark Riku's inclusion here may seem jarring to many, but it works really well thematically, since he, like Dark Baymax, was a friend turned corrupted by the darkness.
Okay, but that's only true because he turned him to darkness, right? Like, say Larxene or Marluxia were here, and they also corrupted Dark Baymax, right? Like, I don't necessarily think, like, oh, just because it's Dark Riku, you know, like, they all kind of fell to darkness. Like, Saix fell to darkness, Xehanort fell to darkness, like they were quote-unquote good at some point, you know what I mean? So I don't really think that I mean, because, like, Baymax being corrupted isn't just an inherently Dark Riku thing.
And while it's not revealed until later, Riku is in fact a replica.
Well, like, he's using a replica body, but all of them are, right? Because when you time travel, it's only your heart that's time traveling. So, like, Ansem and Xemnas, right? Like, they're only time traveling because of their hearts. So they need host bodies, which is what the replicas are doing. Oh, well, yeah, okay, no, yeah, that's right. This is the Dark Riku. This is Repliku. This is the Repliku, from Chain of Memories before he, like, gets redeemed. This isn't Dark Riku.
Which holds a good amount of irony, since he refers to this Baymax as a puppet, when, in reality, he himself is one. This world
That's true.
ties into
Yep.
the overarching story the least out of all the Disney worlds, but having a whole wide open city world to explore is just great. And it stands out as completely unique amongst all the other Disney worlds in this game and the series. There's never been a world like this before, so I greatly appreciate it. And can I just say, major props to this world for featuring the Dark Cubes for Recoded. Their inclusion alongside a fake Cloaked Riku calls back to Data Riku in the KH game that many try to forget, even though Recoded is actually an incredibly unique game that always manages to stay fresh with lots of gameplay shakeups, including a thoughtful progression system and the best command deck in any KH game. And KH3 is proud of that and references that game with no shame. Hell yeah. And
Well, they're not really the Dark Cubes. Like, oh wait, are they the same image? Okay, it is. It just does look a little bit different, even though they should have been black and red instead of blue.
But yeah, they just don't look as the actual design on them. It just looks cleaner. I guess I was just used to the rigidness of the DS. Like, this reminds me of Code Lyoko. I look at this initially, and like I see a resemblance, but I don't pick it up one by one.
Finally, for the best role in any cage game.
Okay, well, I'll need to fix that. Let's go up here. Worlds, New Disney Worlds. Be Hero 6, K, boss battles. Characters, scroll down to villains. Shion, Saix, and Vanitas. Luxine, certain organization members. This one is Xehanort. I feel like I talk a good bit about Dark Riku somewhere. Yeah, there's that. There's Xehanort replicas. Here we go. Okay, nope. Here we go. Okay, yeah.
Caribbean. Oh yes, I'm deadly serious about this. This world features an entirely open ocean with fully explorable islands where you'll find some of the best treasures in the game. A huge Port Royal segment that is nearly a perfect one-to-one recreation of the town scene in the movie. It features multiple fully fleshed out gameplay systems that not only includes huge mod encounters with the amazing base combat, but also flight, undersea combat, and ship-based combat in a fully in-depth leveling system for said pirate ship, where once you reach max level, you unlock the iconic Black Pearl that you can then sail around. Each of these combat systems have been perfected, starting with this flying boss fight, which is really easy to get the hang of. There are only a few controls to remember, but everything is so fast and responsive, which makes it really easy to watch your positioning and avoid what the boss throws at you, as enemies spawn all over the arena here. But they award you with health orbs as you kill them, so you don't have to worry about abandoning your mount to heal. Then there's the underwater combat, which comes with these big ranged water effects that will handle multiple enemies at once from a distance. You don't have to be directly on top of your enemies to hit them, so even if you don't have a great hold on the controls yet, as long as you're in the general vicinity of your target, you'll be able to hit them. And you can still dodge cancel your combos underwater, so if you don't like this big tornado finisher, you can just cancel your combo before you get to that, and just stick with the super snappy and fast slashes and bubbles the first few hits. Maneuvering through the water feels pretty damn good, and if you're not that into it, it really doesn't overstay its welcome. And then there's the ship combat. Holy shit, this is so perfect. This is exactly how it should be. Ships of this size are very slow to turn in real life, yet this game does a great job of giving you more control than a realistic pirate ship without making it feel like a race car drifting on top of the water. Still, you're given multiple powerful attacks that you sometimes have to carefully choose your target for. I often opt to aim for the weak points of the smaller ships, which will then build my meter and special moves, which I can then choose to unleash on the big boss targets. And many of these big encounters have you board the enemy ship after defeating it, in order to take out the Heartless on board, which is just so cool and an absolutely necessary element of pirating. It is so immersive, it is so fun, I love it. Oh, and did I mention that there's a big pirate ship super boss encounter? And it's an amazing challenge for those who really enjoy engaging with the sea combat and leveling up their ship. And you're rewarded with experience for your ship in the form of collectible crabs that appear all throughout the map. So not only will you find various treasures while exploring, but you'll also be powering up your ship specifically for this world as you do so. Oh, and on the topic of crabs, this Port Royal crab collecting segment is great. One of the few segments in the entire series that actually requires you to do some exploring. It doesn't take too long, and there's some good combat encounters sprinkled throughout, but this is such a well-designed area that just begs to be engaged with. Smack the palm trees to knock out the crabs hiding up there. Dive off a roof and burst open a crate containing a bunch of them. Unclog a chimney where a bunch of those boys got stuck. Or go sliding up the path on Goofy's shield, collecting all the little guys lining the trail. I'm sorry if you don't like this segment, but it's objectively a good idea to mix up the gameplay like this, especially when exploration is already one of the major optional elements in this game. This isn't some garbage minigame where you're mindlessly mashing X and occasionally triangle to win. You're engaging with the game mechanics that, by this point at the end of the game, you'll be very familiar with, in order to complete an objective that is different from what you've been required to do all game, which is mainly combat. Yet exploring is something that you've likely been doing already all game, since these worlds are so large with so many well-designed hidden areas with extra goodies. This area is great, this segment is great. Moving on. For the story of this one, they combine the plots of the second and third Pirates movie, a genius idea, which means that we get to fight the Kraken from the second movie within the Maelstrom from the Davy Jones battle from the third. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are kind of removed from the main story going on here, which is honestly fine because we get to do our own thing, which includes so many amazing gameplay segments and mechanics, as I mentioned previously. And this just means we get to face off against
He keeps saying gameplay segments and mechanics. Like it's almost like he's using them as buzzwords. Like, oh, the gameplay mechanics. Oh, great, the gameplay mechanics. But he's not really like talking about them. Like the gist of what he just said was like if you engage with the ship stuff and the crabs, then it's fun. But like if I don't care about my ship, then why would I care about going for the crabs, right? In which case, if you don't sell me on the ship, then then this world's practically open and a little bit empty. Like, sure, there's a bunch of treasure chests and stuff across some of the across some of like the smaller islands, but like I just may not care to go that way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a necessity. Like the gameplay mechanics of what exploration, like sure, like it's a big good world to explore, but that's only as true as there are like things worth of exploring. And if it's just treasure chests that get me a cosmetic upgrade, then okay, like I could see from like a collectibles or collectible collector's perspective why it's nice, but yeah.
Who of course fits in perfectly, because I get the sneaking suspicion that he loves playing pirate just as much as Sora does, and as much as I did. He previously visited this world of Cage 2 for little reason other than to just antagonize Sora, but here he's searching for the notorious black box, which, holy shit, this ties in so well with the idea that Davy Jones possesses a chest, or a box, that holds his heart, and Luxord is led to believe that this is the important box that he's searching for. These movies were just begging to be made into a Cage world. I mean, look how gorgeous it is. And we get a great battle with Davy Jones aboard the Flying Dutchman, which I actually praise greatly in my Cage Disney boss battle ranking. Links in the description if you want to check that out. But God, the idea that Davy Jones put his heart in a box, making him literally heartless, and the villains searching for a box, just works so well. Now, as I go on to talk about the Keyblade Graveyard, I'll be discussing the bulk of the story and how it all connects together. Because there are many great cutscenes and character moments that happen between the Disney worlds.
Okay, so we're in music now? Oh no. And then he talks a lot about stories. Okay.
Yeah, to discuss. However, before all of that, I want to take a brief moment to talk about music. Now, it's no secret that Yoko Shimomura, the composer of every Cage game,
Let's just skip music.
anyway, with all of that out of the way, once we finish the Disney stuff, it's all plot from there on out, saving Aqua and Venus before diving into the Graveyard, which is basically boss fight after boss fight, huge payoff after huge payoff. I get that it feels as if nothing really happened at this point, since here is where we face and defeat every single org member and save every character that is in need of saving. And many say that this game lacks a definitive middle point, and it definitely does. But the entire story has a flow to it, where much of what happens in Disney worlds, as well as before and after, all flows together and builds towards the finale. This is something that previous titles, particularly Cage 2, don't really do a good job at, when the Disney worlds feel like a complete rehash of their respective movies, and a complete detour from the main story, sometimes for hours of gameplay with nothing plot relevant happening at all. But let's look at what really happens story-wise throughout Cage 3. Again, we are given reasons why we must fight, in order to protect some of our new friends that we made along our journey, the new princesses of Heart. Sora is technically learning to unlock the power of waking, which he finds has been within him all along, which, yeah, is kind of cheesy as hell and very artsy, but I don't know, he definitely wouldn't have come to that conclusion if it weren't for this journey. We get great interactions between the Organization 13 as they fill out the ranks with their 13 darknesses, and get crucial setups including the Black Box, Vex and Demex's possible betrayal, which winds up being a crucial element regarding the return of Roxas, Xion, and Naminé. We also get hints that Luxord may be working towards his own goals outside of the organization. Riku and Mickey are of course trying to find Aqua in the Realm of Darkness the whole time as well, which you may say they accomplished nothing until Sora shows up, but they did find her. It's just Sora that saves them. Plus, along the way, Riku reconnects with Replica Riku, who also gets a great payoff, as his primary function was always to protect Naminé, and he gets to be the crucial element that allows for her return, freeing up a replica body that can host her heart. The replicas are also discussed quite a bit throughout many of the Disney worlds, which sets the stage for how important they're going to be in the climax. You may not have noticed it, but everything that happens throughout the story is either building towards the finale, or it's reaffirming the important details and hallmarks of the series, such as Sora's My Friends Are My Power moment in Toy Box, or Sora and Kairi sharing the Palpu fruit, which I feel is actually a really nice and small-scale human moment between the two.
Those are two very different things. Like, the Toy Box is a good example, but Sora and Kairi sharing, like, those aren't small story things. Like, those are two different ends of the spectrum.
And it didn't have to be this big, profound thing. Sora and Kairi's relationship has never been profound. It's always been sweet and intimate, like a Palpu fruit. This and many other moments also serve as opportunities for major character payoffs, such as Ienzo reuniting with Vincent and Lions. Or, in general, Sora, Donald, and Goofy have the most chemistry in this game compared to KH1 and 2. This time around, they'll actually talk with you during gameplay while you're exploring the worlds, which makes them feel so much more alive and connected. And there's actually really well-written jokes and banter in the cutscenes, which serve to show the player how truly close these three have become after all of these years, which is paid off in the final blow against Xehanort, a perfect moment where the three of them unite as Donald and Goofy pull Sora from the depths of defeat as they, wait. Yeah, we're not there yet. We haven't even talked about the Keyblade Graveyard. This world alone pays off nearly every important setup throughout the series, while also leaving some open ends for future titles. Now, if you prefer the dark ending for the BBS trio and Roxas and Naminé, I get it, but it's been suggested for a while that these characters would make a return, mainly in Recoded and Dream Drop. I mean, even the ending of BBS tells us that, yeah, eventually these three are going to come back, and Kingdom Hearts is simply a series with a more positive outlook on things. It doesn't really like to kill characters, and when it does, it leaves things pretty open-ended so they may return and have a happy ending. Though, in the Keyblade Graveyard, we still get plenty of dark moments as Terranort absolutely bodies our heroes before literally everyone dies, and Sora must break a nature taboo in order to save them, setting up what will eventually happen in the ending. Also, can we talk about this moment where Aqua's stalwart strength fades into abject despair at the sight of the evolved Demon Tide? I've seen so many people complain about this moment because of how deflating it is. And, yeah, that's the point. Clearly, Aqua has some form of PTSD for being left in the Realm of Darkness for so long, where she faced this exact thing over and over in 0.2 of Fragmentary Passage, yet it still followed her into the Realm of Light, only bigger and more powerful than ever. I would say this moment is pretty subtle, but it's pretty clear what they were going for here. Yet so many fucking morons complained because they just didn't get it. So
I agree.
Literally had to spell it out for them in the DLC and show that she does, in fact, have trauma from the time she spent wandering alone, fighting for her life in an endless dark abyss for years.
So, this is the fear and despair that Aqua feels.
Yeah.
Oh shit. God forbid this series has subtlety. But another major complaint is that there is zero subtlety, and everything is spelled out for the audience. So,
Yeah.
which is it? My only complaint is
Well, it depends. Hold on. It depends. It depends on the thing that you're doing and talking about, right? Like, there's a difference between, like, a character emotion, like Aqua's depression, versus, like, having to explain time travel. Like, you know what I mean? That pause. There's a difference.
wish this would have had a satisfying payoff if Aqua got her moment to face her fears and take down the Demon Tide. But this whole sequence is meant to feel really bad, as our heroes lose, many of them unprepared for the fight ahead, as they get bodied by Terranort in the Demon Tide, which has not only evolved since 0.2, but also since our encounter with it in the beginning of the game, which set up its recurring fear.
Well, I'm assuming that they're different demon tides. Like, there's different dark sides. I don't think it's the same demon tide.
A low point for our hero, something we've never gotten from Sora. This single cry of despair gives him more depth than ever before. Because
I disagree.
until now, Sora has never had a low point. He's never even considered giving up. And it's Riku that gets his big moment to step in and inspire Sora not to give up, before he then clings onto the bit of his soul that remains after death. This then allows him to correct his moment of defeat, as he risks everything to bring back his friends from the brink of death. That's actual death in Kingdom Hearts. And I must say, the final world is absolute perfection. This whole section is straight exploration and platforming. It has a beautifully serene and peaceful atmosphere that is just sold perfectly by the music. This collectathon segment breaks up the gameplay one final time before leading us into the boss rush in the Keyblade Graveyard. It's a true calm before the storm. It is kind of strange that our heroes return from death with kind of memories of what happened, yet they go make the same mistakes. I feel as if it's
Yep.
specifically to emphasize the strange nature of what it is that Sora did. It wasn't just time travel. He broke a nature taboo and brought them back to life. But do I really need to tell you how perfect all of the following moments are? Every single character gets a satisfying payoff, except for Kairi, even though she is the one who pulls Sora from the depths of death after he saves everyone. And nobody talks about that moment, which kind of is pretty important. So yeah, she did get to do something pretty vital. But even characters we didn't expect, like Gensid, Lingering Will, even Evermore, get their big payoff moments. Terra fulfills his promise and gets to set things right, saving Aqua after she gave up everything trying to save him all those years ago. There's Roxas, Luxord giving away that he may not be such a bad guy after all, and Larxene giving up that she did this all for her crush.
Settle down!
Roxas, Axel confronting both his old boss and his old best friend. Roxas, fucking Roxas. Roxas' return, finally getting to make a stand against all those that wronged him, those that used him, especially Syax, who served as his primary oppressor and job assigner during his time in Northern.
Well, but Syax was doing it from Xemnas, and like being a job designator or assigner is like a manager, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be pissed at my manager if just corporate is Hitler, you know what I mean? Like, I might be miffed with my manager, but I mean, obviously different context, but I don't. Primary oppressor, I'm assuming, is no. He said Syax.
Wronged him, those that used him, especially Syax, who served as his primary oppressor and job
But Xemnas is the one who got him in on it, right? Like, Syax is just as much as a tool as Roxas is.
assigner during his time in the organization, 358 over 2 days. And all these boss fights are really engaging on critical mode, since that's the only difficulty where they really pose a threat. And that's the
Okay, yeah, see? Like, here he is talking about difficulty stuff again.
one where we can turn off the crashes, which is a completely random version of these otherwise dramatic, intense fights. But on critical, you have to watch the patterns of attack from enemies, as some of them combo and synergize really well together. Here, you also get to team up with everyone, and our party members are incredibly valuable and do a really good job of pulling a lot of the heat off of you. And they do really good damage, especially Roxas and Xion against Syax. This one isn't even meant to be a boss fight, really. It's just meant to emphasize the sheer strength of these two, without taking control away from the player in the form of a cutscene. And of course, the Xehanort trio fight is sheer perfection that I actually talked about in my top 10 KH bosses of all time. Links in the description for that one as well. But even the final string of encounters are all pretty great. Scala is an absolutely perfect world. It's gorgeous, has amazing music, holds so much intrigue and lore value, and it's absolutely criminal that we didn't get to explore it until the DLC. But in Remind, we get an incredible open Scala segment full of puzzles, great combat encounters, and explorable side areas. And this is once again a great segment where we have to explore in order to find all of Kyrie's heart fragments. I love forced exploration. I love that I'm asked to actually engage with the incredibly well-designed and diverse segments of a huge map like this. There's just so much to see here. It's all so great. And the final boss all takes place here, and it's a really well-designed stretch of encounters that actually makes really good use of the underwater mechanics at one point. As while we're down there, we can see that this city was actually built on top of the remains of the destroyed Daybreak Town. Much of this encounter requires patience, though. The segments where you're lifted into the air may feel very awkward, but moving around too much actually puts you at a disadvantage. You'll want to mainly watch Xehanort positioning and get the rhythm of his attacks down. Guard most of it, but be careful because he loves to fake you out. This feels like a true Keyblade move for a lot of it, and the segment where he forces you into rage form is really scary the first time it happens. But it's a great moment that is extra challenging, and his desperation move is just wow. And of course, the battle ends with this amazing moment where Dalen Goop pulls Sora from the depths of defeat in order to deliver the final blow to Xehanort. It is such a beautiful moment. It is so earned, since Dalen Goop's friendship with Sora has been growing over the course of multiple adventures. This right here is a literal example of Sora's friends being his power. It's great. And you know, with all of these amazing moments that happen in such a quick stretch, I can't help but feel that the reason why people look at the early moments of the game as nothing happening is simply because so few things happen compared to everything that happens in the ending. Like,
Yeah.
there's simply a lot that needs to be resolved there. And a lot that is resolved are big climactic moments that would only work in an endgame setting.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I feel like little by little you could bring back some of the characters, right? Like, I don't necessarily think that that would diminish the end game, but like Kingdom Hearts 2, for example, right? Like, you run into multiple members of the organization between the mid to late game, Dimix in Hollow Bastion, Zaldin in Beast Castle. I mean, they just kind of show up and they're a little bit all over the place, right? And that doesn't diminish the ending. Like, I guess I could sort of see the point, because in comparison to Kingdom Hearts 2, like, Zaldin dies when you kill him in Beast Castle. He doesn't show up later for the end of the game. So you kind of need all 13 of them to live until the finale, so Xehanort can summon Kingdom Hearts, right? Like, I get it, but what you could always do is still incorporate those boss fights and then just have them lose. But they don't have to die. Like, they could just vanish through the corridor of darkness or something, and then, or one of their other teammates can come and pick them up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's ways to pace it. I get the point, and it's a little bit of a fair point retroactively, but I feel like that's not. It's almost a little bit of an excuse.
Now, regarding the finale, many complain that this moment tries to redeem Xehanort, and that simply is not true. Never does this game try to say that Xehanort was actually a good guy all along. Instead, he reveals that in his mind, he thought he was the hero, and everything evil he did was in favor of ushering in a new world free from darkness. But Sora shuts him down multiple times because clearly Xehanort is in the wrong. There's a clear distinction between the villain thinking they're right and the story itself telling you they're right. Now, does this explanation come out of nowhere? Absolutely. Xehanort always seemed like a solid one-dimensional villain who simply loved darkness. Yet here at the very end, at the buzzer, they tried to give him depth by explaining that he actually only engaged with the darkness so much so he could play his part in eventually purging the world from all darkness. And honestly, it's a pretty good idea to construct your villains with actual depth and a flawed mentality that they see as objectively correct. Just look at Thanos. He's a great villain because he truly believes that by destroying half of all life in the universe, he can save the other half. He genuinely thinks he's the hero, and his perspective kind of makes sense since it spawns from his wish that he could have saved his people who all died out and went extinct. But he is horribly wrong and narrow-minded. He is the up and just thrown in at the very end. This
Yeah.
is a great idea for the villain and for Xehanort. It's just executed poorly. With that being said, this isn't.
Yeah, it is executed poorly, but also, like, in addition to the fact that just Xehanort's curse being his curiosity of, like, what lies beyond the Keyblade War is another thing that makes him a good villain. Hey, Tito, are you okay? Do you want to go out? Outside? Alright, I'm going to take my dog out real quick. I also had to use the bathroom, so I went and did that too.
Since we have the which is probably the weirdest story execution of all time. Because if you played
Yeah.
base game, you are forced to replay every Keyblade graveyard fight with mostly the same cutscenes, except for the ones that are just sometimes different. We're able to play as other characters if we so choose, but the only brand new one is Roxas, since Aqua and Riku both have already had segments where they're playable in base KH3. But the segments that are different are perfection. Explorable Scala, this final encounter with Xehanort, where the team up between Sora and Kairi is actually playable here, and she is so much fun. The 14 secret bosses this game.
Yeah, so what he just said a minute ago isn't as true, but okay. Like, the only new one is Roxas.
The ads are just pure gold. Some of the best bosses I've ever faced in any game ever. Fight them all with the best Keyblades in the game and in the series. The KH3 Oathkeeper and Oblivion. This game makes you work for them, but they're so satisfying to earn. You're gonna feel like a badass using them, yet you still will get your shit rocked by these super bosses if you're not any good, and if you're not learning their attacks and patterns. Yozora is the first fight in my adult life where I actually gave up for an extended period of time because I genuinely did not think I had what it took to beat it. But eventually I did come back, and I will say that after 9 hours, I did have what it takes, damn it. There's still so much more great stuff in this DLC, though. There's this amazing moment where we play as Mickey, as he keeps getting back up to stand against Xehanort's 13 vessels, no matter how many times they knock him down. It's an incredibly powerful and moving moment. Or how about this Avengers Infinity War level crossover right here, where we get interactions between every single one of our favorite Keyblade wielders as we control all of them in the most perfectly cinematic minigame segment of the entire series. This is
I wouldn't call it a minigame, but
just the weirdest DLC of all time, since it serves to explain things not said in the base game, such as which org members are time travelers and which ones are re-nobodied, which wasn't really necessary, but it's good information to have, I guess.
yeah, I was gonna say, no, I feel like that's pretty clear. Like, Dark Riku is a time traveler. Regardless, I mean, the only way it's not a time traveler is if it was Data Riku by some way. Xemnas and Ansem are time travelers. Young Xehanort is a time traveler. Vanitas is a time traveler. That's 5. Marluxia, Larxene, Dimix, Vexen, Saix are all re-nobodied. Did I say Luxord? Luxord is re-nobodied. I mean, just all of the different versions of Xehanort and Vanitas and Riku are time travelers. I don't think that's that hard.
It also makes us refight a nerfed version of the Dark Inferno, the secret boss of that game. Then it shoehorns in the Final Fantasy characters for no other reason than a lot of people complain that they weren't in the base game. And, alright, listen, I get it if you really enjoy the Final Fantasy aspect of KH, but there are so many original characters that are now vital to this plot, it would be overkill to have another 5 or so characters that are just there because people like them. The Final Fantasy guys were always just sort of there. Yes, they were our friends. Yes, they got some cool moments and they helped us with the DTD stuff in Hollow Bastion, but in terms of the overarching plot, they're really not that relevant. And you could say just as relevant as any other Disney characters.
Okay.
Now, I still really wish we got a Sephiroth fight in this game, although my theory is that Cloud Sephiroth disappeared into unreality, so we'll probably see him in KH4, but there's actually no reason why there couldn't have been a Colosseum in Olympus where we fight some of the FF games.
Okay.
They could absolutely been fit in side stuff, and it sucks that they weren't, but in terms of the main story, they simply wouldn't have been relevant, and there's very little room for them. I mean, it didn't even have room for Alias and Dylan to have voice lines. But this game does ask you to care about every single side character and plot from previous games. I found myself shockingly invested in Ienzo, Exit, Demix, Ansem the Wise, and nearly every other stupid KH original anime character from this perfectly flawed series. There's just so much packed into this game. Huge story and character moments built up through over a decade of great titles that pay off here. The best Disney World in the series in terms of design and gameplay. play, tons of collectibles to be found, and additional mini-games and combat challenges to be completed after the main story. All on top of a very deep combat system that is incredibly rewarding if you learn how to engage with it. It's all just so good. Have I convinced you yet? I'm truly, deeply sorry if this game didn't meet your expectations. For some, it missed the mark, and they've moved on. But for others, they seem to take nourishment in the idea that popular opinion for this game is pretty unfavorable, as they constantly shout disappointing over and over, as if it means anything other than a reaction based on one's own personal expectations. You've had 7 to 13 years, depending on who you ask, to imagine what this game would be, and if you genuinely expected the game to be exactly what you pictured in your head for all of that time, I'm sorry, but you are a fucking idiot. I'll stand by this game sincerely. Call me a fanboy all you want, but I've given you my praises and my criticisms. This game has its flaws, but so does every single game in the series, except for KH1, goddammit. Try to tell me that the level design in KH2 is any good. Please defend the system for leveling drive forms in that game and how it's supposed to be understandable for a newbie. Please explain to me how the grind necessary for BBS is poor balance.
Wait, how dry forms are supposed to be understandable for a newbie? What? What?
Call me a fanboy all you want, goddammit. Try to tell me that the level design in KH2 is any good. Please defend the system for leveling drive forms in that game.
Oh, leveling drive forms. Okay, yeah, that is a little bit more clunky.
How it's supposed to be understandable for a newbie.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Fair enough.
Please explain to me how the grind necessary for BBS is poor balance is not a total waste of my time, and I'd love to hear any praises sung for the horrible leveling system and stealth missions in 358 over 2 days. Are you convinced yet? I'll criticize the series all day, but the last thing I'll do is lie down as people continue to regurgitate hyperbolic nonsense and clickbait YouTube titles in order
LOL.
to generate clicks. People have loved to hate this series forever, but I'm telling you, enough is enough. It's time to start loving to love this series and all of its convoluted, contrived anime weeaboo trash. This game didn't disappoint me. It appointed me to be the spokesperson in favor of its glory. This is the most beautiful game I've ever played. I cried exactly 19 times throughout my first playthrough and another 21 times on my second. Fuck, I love this game, and it makes me so sad to see so many people tear it apart for such minuscule details as they seem to miss the big picture that Kingdom Hearts has always been a perfectly weird, awkward, poorly paced, and weirdly balanced series, but at its core, it's so full of love that it makes me wonder how it tends to bring out so many countless people that are so full of hate. So yeah, anyway, if it wasn't clear, I think KH3 is pretty great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like he was a good bit, like, critical on some of the things that I cared about. And the stuff that he, like... I mean, I still got a good amount of notes that I disagreed on. So that was fine. That was fine. Alright. I've only got about, like, another hour. And, maybe this one by King K we can go over.
They can take your world,
Let's,
they can take your heart,
oh, wrong button.
cut you loose from all you know. But if it's your fate, then every step forward will always be a step closer to home.
I don't want to just, like, nitpick the game just to nitpick the game, but I really don't like the dialogue in the beginning. But that's a whole other thing. Because, like, they're not introspective, alright? Like, it's almost not like a war cry, but it's like the opening to a book or something, right? But, like, the kind of, like, fantasy book where it's like, you know, when I was 12 years old, I lived in the king's country. Like, that's what it reminds me of. Whereas, like, Kingdom Hearts 1 is, like, incredibly introspective. Like, it nails you. It hooks you because it's like, I've been having these weird thoughts lately. It invokes so much because you're like, oh, what are these weird thoughts? Who are you? What has led you to have these weird thoughts? Is any of this real or not? Is any of what real or not, right? Like, reality? Like, what are you talking about, bro? So, yeah. Anyways.
I have never, in the 25 years I've existed on this planet, been as excited for something as I was for Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't even know how to properly express it. Being a fan of Kingdom Hearts doesn't even begin to describe my connection to the series. I feel like I've lived this series, bled for it, grown with it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I've been there from the beginning. I've been with this series since 2002. I've been with this series for 20 years. I'm 25 years old, which means that barring 5 years of my existence, Kingdom Hearts has always been there. I've had 20 years to play the games, listen to the music, think about the story, and cry. A lot. I pieced together the plot over time before it was so available. Spent sleepless nights poring over Wikia pages to line the pieces up. I read and wrote a few fanfictions, which will never see the light of day. I play Kingdom Hearts at least once a year, mostly the second one. It wouldn't be a stretch to say, but the series makes up a large part of my identity, which isn't something I like to admit, but everyone has a blind spot. You can track my life through Kingdom Hearts releases. The innocent child playing through Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and 2, the angsty preteen playing through 358 Days Over 2 and Birth by Sleep, the eager, confused teenager playing through Dream Drop Distance, waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, and now the anxiety-ridden adult playing Kingdom Hearts 3. With each milestone, I gained another reason to love it. As a child, I was excited to see more of the Disney worlds. Roxas resonated so strongly with my preteen self that I thought about him practically every day. As a teenager, I dived headfirst into bizarre lore, and as an adult, I'm able to identify themes I never knew were present. As the franchise has grown, changed, evolved, so too have my tastes broadened, morphed, transformed. Though the franchise won't end anytime soon, Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end of a story arc. Just as you can say it's the final act for a chapter in these characters' lives, it too marked the conclusion of a chapter in my life. For many, this was an unsatisfying conclusion to that chapter. I suppose controversy has never quite been foreign to Kingdom Hearts, but usually that disdain originated from external sources. For those unfamiliar with the series, it's sort of become the internet's punching bag. Not everyone has the patience to deal with Tetsuya Nomura. Can't say I blame them. But Kingdom Hearts 3 was one of the first times I saw such a massive gulf between the opinions of fans, and it was not what everyone wanted. Not even close. Often, even when I disagree with an opinion, I at least understand where it's coming from. We all have different perspectives. We don't all have to like or dislike something for the same reasons. I understand that a lot better now than...
Whoa, the captions are crazy. Alright, my dog is scratching at the door again. Give me another second. Oh, there we go. Alright.
Nevertheless, with Kingdom Hearts 3, I just don't get it. I do not and probably will never fully understand why so many fans were disappointed by it. Because when I raced up to GameStop that cold, snowy January day, blaring Face My Fears in the car stereo, praying that I wouldn't slide into a 15-car pileup, and finally plop that disc into my PS4, I was out of commission for several days. When I emerged from that binge, my face was red from tears, and my heart had never been more full. That left me in a weird spot. There were very few people I followed at the time who loved KH3 like I did, and in fact, most people I knew didn't like it. I saw claims that it was one of the biggest disappointments in gaming, which has ultimately become its legacy. I've had a long time to think about that disparity, and I'm not happy to admit that it's made me feel less than good about myself sometimes. I'm someone who champions detachment. Your video game opinions should never matter so much that they begin to affect your mental health, and they usually don't. But even I have to admit, coming out of that opinion binge, seeing what people had to say, be it friends, other creators, or even just a bunch of random Reddit posts, all I could think was, am I stupid? Are my standards really that low? Did I overlook something?
See, what's really ironic is this, right? Like his perspective on a lot of negative feedback from Kingdom Hearts. I remember the game, well, okay, obviously, yes, from external sources, it was getting a lot of a bad rap because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you play it, especially if you just play 1, 2, and 3. Like, you kind of do need the catalog of all of the other games behind you. But even, like, within Kingdom Hearts, like, I remember a lot of fans, like, claiming that this game was, like, perfect. Right? Like it was amazing. It had no flaws. That was my perspective. And over the past couple of years, I would also get in, Twitter fights, which was like the most glorious use of my time, with people who would like kind of believe similarly. So from my perspective, like that was the overwhelming opinion and perspective. But I don't know, that's always interesting. I mean, like, it's kind of similar to, like, a witness to a crime, you know what I mean? Like, no two persons, witness stories, whatever the term is called, are going to be the same. And I think this is point of that.
Wrong with me. It's no one's fault but my own. People are allowed to feel whatever way they want, yet I couldn't escape the feeling that something was wrong with me. I like to put on a mask of confidence, say that absolutely nothing phases me anymore, that I've seen enough comments to build a platinum wall around my skull, but that's not really the truth, is it? Occasionally I find myself trying to explain why I came away loving the game, and I can never shake the feeling that people think I'm crazy. It's one of the reasons this video has taken so long to write. I was terrified of putting this out there. Ironically, it would only get harder the longer I waited. Expectations continued to mount. Everyone would ask me if KH3 was coming. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, and that pressure had me staring at a blank page for hours some days. Just as Nomura went through many drafts, I too have gone through many, many different scripts. I started the first couple paragraphs back in 2019, and have written, torn up, and replaced so much of it.
I don't know. I mean, I get being connected to the series. Like I said earlier, like I was stomach sick 2 days before the game came out because I thought that the game could be bad, right? And then it came out, and yeah, it was lackluster in some areas, but like, like I didn't go into a coma or anything. And like even Sky was talking earlier, we watched him, he was talking about how much... Oh, that's my dog chewing on his toy. He was talking about how much the series meant to him. So I don't know. He's kind of like, I don't want to necessarily like diminish, the personal story, and he did admit earlier that it was like unhealthy for him. But like, I don't think it's a good thing necessarily from a narrative perspective of, say, a YouTuber to almost like identify yourself in a sort of martyrdom with Nomura here, because it's like it almost feels like that he feels like that Kingdom Hearts fans were trying to burn Nomura at the stake from how much they absolutely hated this game. And then he's like identifying himself now with Nomura in a sense of martyrdom to almost like get, this sounds really like impersonal and I don't mean it to, but like almost to like garner guilt a little bit on behalf of the game. It's like, oh, feel bad for me so you'll like the game better a little bit, because he's got, his identity is so wrapped up in the game, as he said. So it's like, oh, if you feel pity for me, you'll feel pity for the game, and I don't think that's healthy, which he admitted to somewhat. I just wouldn't have. I don't know.
I think it's been long enough. I can't let my insecurities hold me hostage. My video on Kingdom Hearts 3 is happening now. I'm here to tell you that Kingdom Hearts 3
Good for
is
you.
more than a worthy conclusion to the Darkseeker saga, and proudly sits among 1 and 2 as one of my favorites, whether you choose to accept it or not. This is as passionate a defense of Age 3 as I'll ever be able to muster.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is set to release sometime this year. It's given me pause for reflection. As first attempt at making a Final Fantasy action RPG, it did a great job nailing the most crucial aspects of its design. Imagine leaving out your memories. Even stranger, imagine what you'd be if your memories were supplanted by fake ones. March 28th, 2006. An 8-year-old boy eagerly awaits the sequel to one of his favorite games.
I do like this kind of retrospective.
Maybe it's weird to gather buddies so these kids can go to the beach, investigate the 7 wonders for a homework assignment, yet without these elements, the rest of the story wouldn't work nearly as well. I might be on the wrong side of history, but considering it's a side of history where I can watch Mickey Mouse walk around like a Jedi Master, I don't think I care. Ironically, the most fun fight in Days is the fight you don't want to do, the fight you never wanted to do, the one where you kill Shield. I really like this dynamic. It's fairly atypical of a hero's journey. Each of the characters have something to learn, but they learn it too late, and what it results in is tragedy. Recoded. Ah, yeah. Recoded. Yeah. It sounds like handwriting, if I'm honest. But then, who wrote the playbook here? Who decided that there was a correct way to tell the story? This video was simply a formality. I tried to make it fun. I tried to make it interesting. But in the end, this isn't the video you care about.
Is it?
That was good editing. I like that. Are my captions stuck?
Guiding key. I got it. All right. Olympus Coliseum, here we come.
Okay.
Half of Kingdom Hearts' essence is found within its Disney content. The crossover appeal was what initially drew me in. However, I'll be the first to admit that its implementation can be fairly hit or miss. Spin-offs like Chain of Memories, Days, Recoded, and Union Cross tend to rip Disney worlds from the numbered titles wholesale. There might be 1 or 2 interesting shakeups, such as you being the villain in 358, but for the most part, it's just you doing the same plot you did in the more interesting game. I generally find that the Kingdom Hearts games lower on my totem pole treat their Disney integrations as somewhat of an average.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, well, I feel like you also have to like take into consideration though, like what the purpose of each game was. Like Nintendo approached Square Enix / Nomura about putting Kingdom Hearts on the Game Boy. That's why Chain of Memories exists. Nomura wanted Kingdom Hearts to be accessible on the DS because of the DS's success. That's why Recoded exists as like retelling the story of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories almost. I can't really speak for Days or Dream Drop. But I mean, that's why, right? Like, the only real exception to one of these spin-offs is Birth by Sleep, which kind of like puts itself in a different camp because it's not a spin-off, it's a prequel, right? So, yeah, fair. I'm just saying I agree, and I was like I was contextualizing what he was saying.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is on the top of mind in part because of the love and care put into its Disney side. Excluding Hercules, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Winnie the Pooh, we're dealing with entirely new properties. You get films like Tangled,
Excluding Pirates, Olympus, and Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, okay, yeah.
traditional Disney Princess Fair. We visit a Marvel property, Big Hero 6, and we finally get to step into the realm of Pixar, spending time in the worlds of Toy Story and Monsters Inc., a dream I've had since the series began. A lot of work was poured into these worlds. Films like Tangled and Frozen have had many of their iconic scenes recreated nearly frame by frame. KH3 is able to do this because it's not only the best-looking Kingdom Hearts by a country mile, it's also one of the best-looking games I've ever played. They've done so much justice to the films they're adapting and brought us so close.
I don't think he's played very many games.
It's startling to me how many scenes
That's a joke.
from the movies rival their quality, even for a live-action property like Pirates. We're a far cry from the PS2 Port Royal days, fond as I am of them. Sora, Donald, and Goofy have been given a delightful pirate-themed makeover, which they absolutely did not need to do. It feels as though every Disney world was this huge project and more of a priority than they ever have been. Olympus Coliseum is the perfect kickoff to such a complete series.
The thing about the part about the Pirates outfits though is like Kingdom Hearts also has made a big deal before about the whole like world order thing in the lore. especially through 1, arguably even in 2. So, I don't know. Like, it's kind of one of those things where you have to pick your battles about where Kingdom Hearts wants to be consistent, and where it's willing to change and just not, you know what I mean? And I guess the World Order is easily one of them. So, I digress.
Title will give it a chance to explore a whole new aspect of this world while still reveling in its return. It's heartwarming to see Hercules again, getting to hear a new rendition of that classic battle theme, where Cage 2 introduced the underworld and let you explore its dark depths. Cage 3 does the opposite. As you ascend Mount Olympus, you arrive to help Hercules save the city of Thebes before you start your journey up the mountain. They really sell how dire the situation is. The Titans are wreaking havoc. Amidst the blaze, you get to help citizens in need, demonstrating your might as true heroes. The scale of the world is unlike anything you've ever seen in this series before. You can look back as you climb Mount Olympus and marvel at the path you took to get up. Some of the world's secrets can only be found by diving off once you're at the highest point. There are many different winding paths up this mountain, each with a ton of chests and heartless battles lying in wait. You cap off the ascent with a fight against the Rock Titan, a real spectacle as you run up the cliffside, dodging the rocks that throws your way. A storm gradually sets in the farther you climb, as a fantastic multi-phase rendition of the Tibet Phase, arranged by Yoshitaka Suzuki. In true Kingdom Hearts fashion, you defeat the Rock Titan by ramming in with the train from Disneyland's Big Thunder Mountain. You expect this to be where any normal Kingdom Hearts world would end, but this is only the midpoint. What follows is an exploration of Mount Olympus, which leads to a titanic clash against the Ice, Fire, and Wind Titans. I think it's fitting that for the likely final appearance of Olympus, you get the true end of the original film, putting a nice bow on top of this now iconic KH world. It's a great way to ease players from the old directly into the new. Toy Box utilizes its scale wonderfully. I love how it feels to be the size of a toy, for the surrounding structures to tower over you like skyscrapers. True to its name, Galaxy Toys is super fun to hang out in, with all the stores you expect. Toys, video games, even a play place. You get to run up and down the aisles, sliding into the ventilation shafts, playing Rock'em Sock'em robots, fighting creepy dolls. Some of the new Heartless are giant mechs called Gigas, who will kick your teeth in if you try to fight them normally. Naturally, you're allowed to pilot these mechs to turn the tables. I love making an emergency escape, desperately searching for a new mech to climb into. It's a cool shake-up to the core gameplay, though you're given the option to brave that challenge outside of the mech, if you really want to. The Kingdom of Corona is a more standard retelling of the film. You help Rapunzel escape her tower with Eugene, making your way to the castle. Along the way, there are optional minigames you can do with Rapunzel to teach her more about the world, using arrow on dandelions, splashing her with water, slowly gathering up the birds. It's small stuff like this that goes a long way in making Sora and Henry feel like meaningful inclusions in the stories they inhabit, while also giving each world a distinct flavor. Sora especially knows how exciting it is to set out from your home and explore the outside world. Who better than him to help ease her into it? San Francisco has a pseudo-open world to explore. We're at the point now where we can recreate another side, another story, battling Heartless on the sides of skyscrapers. As someone who loves the more explorative side of Kingdom Hearts, this is some of the most satisfying level designs of the series, with secret chests and lucky envelopes hidden everywhere. That explorative urge is heightened in the Caribbean.
Well,
Level design of the series, with secret chests and lucky envelopes hidden everywhere. That explorative urge is heightened in the Caribbean, which may as well be its own subject. You're given a ship you can use to explore the seas, dropping anchor on several islands that feel like their own mini dungeons. Along the way, you do battle with other ships and board them like a true pirate. I've spent hours in this world sailing around, fighting ships, exploring underwater for chests and ingredients. Practically every Disney world has something that sets it apart from the rest. It's probably the most diverse set of worlds we've ever had. Many of them have even given original stories to follow, like Toy Box, Monstropolis, and San Francisco. The Toy Story trilogy is one of my favorites, so it's a bit surreal to be running around with Buzz and Woody, taking orders from Sarge, and geeking out with Rex on Final Fantasy. This Toy Story is huge, with secrets hidden everywhere. Truly a joy to explore. It makes it feel like the gang is on a field trip. I could genuinely see a story like this taking place in the movies. Gives off direct-to-DVD energy. The KH stuff even makes for a fascinating premise. Playing Buzz in the actual Space Ranger he thought he was in the original film. It puts him on edge. He knows how unnatural and dangerous this is. He's afraid of being possessed, pitted against his friends. Woody serves as the voice of hope and optimism. It's fitting that he's the one to save Buzz from darkness, delivering the most raw and verbal beatdown to a KH villain I've ever seen. I do kind of wish they chose to retell Toy Story 2, so I could have gotten an HD remake of one of my favorite games. The scale of the world makes it feel like the Toy Story 2 game anyway, so I suppose I should count my blessings.
Yeah.
I swear to you, I'll make a video on it one day. I don't have anything against rehashing the movie plots. I think that approach is still perfectly valid. It all depends on how Nomura and his team want to connect that story with the overarching themes of Kingdom Hearts. Seeing as worlds like Tangled already have a story tailor-made for the themes of Kingdom Hearts, there wasn't much reason to change it up. For Monsters Inc., I think it was vital to pick up after the end of the film, where Mike and Sully will be using the laughter of children instead of screams. This has the effect of making Vanitas and the Unversed fit in seamlessly as the antagonistic force. In fact, it's the very essence of this world which resurrects him for the final battle. A common complaint with the Disney stuff is that it feels too disconnected from the larger KH plot, which I suppose has always been true for Kingdom Hearts to a certain extent. Most of the major story developments happen outside of the Disney worlds, like they always have. But in this case, people take issue with the power of waking. The reason why Sora is exploring Disney worlds this time around is to regain his lost power of waking after failing his mark of mastery. He does this by turning his heart into his guiding key and using it to light the way forward. The heart in this universe is a bit like a wayfinder. You've seen concepts like destinies becoming intertwined, friends suddenly and conveniently united. It's as if hearts are drawn to one another. The heart always knows what it wants deep down. Sora, trusting in his own heart to guide him to worlds which will teach him what he needs to become a true hero, feels pretty in line with what Kingdom Hearts is all about. No more or less effective than sealing keyholes and searching aimlessly for friends. Sora encounters much on this journey, but a lot of that is him.
no, that is pretty different, right? Like the point of sealing the keyholes was to keep the Heartless out. You don't know what the power of waking does or why you're looking for it, right?
Things his heart already knows. His interaction with Pete and Maleficent reinforces the idea that he's feeling quite down on himself after failing the mark of mastery. He doesn't think he's powerful nature is to sacrifice himself for those he loves. That heart of hers is what draws Marluxia to the world, on orders from Xehanort to safeguard her light in case the Guardians fail to save their friends. Marluxia's presence here even reflects his introduction in Chain of Memories, since he's siding with Robert Gothel, keeping a young girl shut away from the rest of the world in order to take advantage of their power. In Toy Story, toys have a sentience that is unknown to their human owners. In a sense, these otherwise soulless pieces of plastic house their own hearts born from the love of their owners. Inanimate concepts being given hearts? Now where have I heard that one before? Young Xehanort is here to study how to use hearts within any vessel of his choosing, knowledge he would eventually use to help complete the new organization. By separating Buzz from the people he cares about, he's able to exploit his insecurities and turn him to the darkness, concluding that it is the heart's true nature. Sora and Woody conclude, however, that once you forge that bond, no amount of separation will ever be enough to extinguish that connection. Whether you're stuck in the realm of darkness, lulled in eternal slumber, or maybe you never meant to exist at all, reunion is inevitable. Don't lose yourself in the sorrow of separation. Be thankful your bond is strong enough to create that sadness.
There are hearts all around us, trying to connect. Your loneliness only made Woody and Buzz's connection stronger. That's the heart's true nature, to never ever let go. Wherever they are, Andy and the other toys haven't let go either. Xehanort, you're so caught up in finding the shadows, you forgot about the light and cast them.
Boom. Yeah, like when you go from that Sora to the defeatist one from Keyblade Graveyard is so strange to me. But anyways.
Exceedingly well with Metropolis' past, introducing Unversed as the main threat. Mike and Sully help Sora battle those negative emotions, cementing their resolve to keep the lights on using positive emotions. Though they were once on a darker path, they found the strength within themselves to do things differently. No one is ever truly lost, and anyone can choose to be better, even a true being of darkness like this. Faced with beings of negative emotion for the first time, Sora never loses heart. He's always made even a true being of darkness found the strength within themselves to do things differently. No one is ever truly lost, and anyone can choose to be better, even a true being of darkness.
That's not true with Vanitas. At least we haven't seen it yet. Because like Vanitas supposedly is also one of the darknesses from Key or whatever. So like ontologically speaking, he's incapable of light.
Faced with beings of naked emotion for the first time, Sora never loses heart. He's always making his goofy faces and trying to make a kid laugh despite it all. His blindingly bright, childlike optimism has always been one of his greatest strengths. Arendelle centers around the bond between Anna and Elsa. Anna never gives up on her sister, even when she tries to keep everyone at a distance in order to protect them. This relationship is reminiscent of Sora and Riku's relationship. It took a long time and a lot of effort, but Sora was eventually able to find Riku and pull him out of that darkness. Riku never needed to feel ashamed or afraid of being Sora in KH2. Sora doesn't let anyone's past define him. By the time you reach the Caribbean and San Francisco, Sora is noticeably more confident.
I guess you could make the comparison to him and Riku. If that was more like adamantly said, I had forgotten about it. I've always thought about Frozen more specifically in terms of Larxene. Because she has some sort of connection to the world that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
He's regained so much of his power that he's now taking the helm of his own pirate ship and teaching the members of the Kira 6 more ways to use their power. His journey across the Disney worlds taught him that his heart had always been strong. It's his drive to help people with all his heart, his confidence that everything will be okay no matter what happens, his adventurous spirit, stubborn refusal to give up, and his willingness to sacrifice himself to save those he cares about. That's what makes Sora truly powerful. The Disney world was able to make him realize that the power of waking, in both a literal and metaphorical sense, had been there all along. In the same way that the worlds in the first game facilitated a hero's journey, and the worlds in the second game fit the unified being of identity, the worlds in the third game are meant to show Sora that he's a true hero, ready to save his friends and take on Xehanort. This will upset a great deal of people, but I think KH3 handles its Disney side the best. I truly believe that. All of them are not only thematically relevant to Kingdom Hearts, but are reflective of Sora's growth as a person. By its nature, KH3 is a contemplative game, looking back and celebrating what got us here. Most of its music consists of remixes. All of its character stories were set up by previous installments, and it's the climax to 20 years of storytelling. It's a stroke of genius to make Sora's adventure through the worlds a much more personal journey, and I think they went to great lengths to make each and every world feel like a worthwhile inclusion. With all the talk of people wanting the next game to cut out Disney entirely, I can't help but wonder if a lot of people are simply sick of the scene. I simply couldn't imagine Kingdom Hearts without Disney.
Yeah, no, you can't really do Kingdom Hearts without Disney. I mean, like, I talk a little bit about it in this video. Now, I do bring up the point. You can replace Disney with anything. Like Disney, like imagine Kingdom Hearts and Warner Brothers, right? But it's because of the identity of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts has always been a crossroads of two different things, of Final Fantasy and Disney, right? And you can try and swap one of them out or just remove one of them entirely. But when you do, you break up that crossroads, right? In my opinion, as long as there is a crossroads of like a crossover, then it's fine. It's still Kingdom Hearts at the core of it. But to have, it's like left side of your brain and right side of your brain, right? To only be operating with one side is like, well, why? Like you're just doing it, like you don't need to do that. So, yeah. So, like, I don't ever think that, practically speaking, they will remove Disney Worlds or whatever from Kingdom Hearts. There's just no way that's going to happen. Disney has cemented itself as, like, the core idea of the level of design for these worlds.
it will be a cold day in hell when we get a Final Fantasy world. You know what I mean? Like, not an original world with Final Fantasy characters, a Final Fantasy world. It's just in the same sense that Pokemon has gyms and an Elite Four, and you can become a champion. Kingdom Hearts will have Disney levels. Like, that it just is what it is. I need to actually check something real quick. Oh, I have a haircut in a little bit, and I just need to make sure. I think it's at 4:30, which is an hour from now. But it might be a little after. Well. Here we go. That was for last month. Hold on. I know I had a notification about my haircut today, and I don't see it. Oh, appointments? Here we go. Okay, yeah, 4:30 today. Alright. Thought it was like 4:15 for a second, and I was like, oh, wait. 3.5 pints. So we're talking about the characters now, and then Destiny's Crossroads.
Including by
Okay.
too, and it is. It completely deserves to be considered as such. It's a wonderful game, but often it feels like it has grown into a monolith of discourse about what's right or wrong to do in a KH game. In my opinion, severely limiting what a new game is allowed to pursue. Just as I think the original Kingdom Hearts stands tall alongside its sequel, I also believe the same is true for KH3, even if all three of them seem to have different goals.
Sure.
As a kid, dreaming of an
Yeah.
adventure in Kingdom Hearts 3, my mind always went back to the lingering will, and by extension, the idea of transforming your Keyblade. I read a fanfic called
Yep.
KH3 Brotherhood of Dark, which used it quite well from what I remember. Did anyone else read that one? Was it just me? Anyway, KH3 having Keyblade transformations is like a dream come true. The Keyblade system was pretty straightforward in previous games. You get a neat little upgrade after each story event or unlockable boss fight with a visual overhaul and some stat increases. With a few exceptions, you essentially never had any reason to use an earlier Keyblade, as they're almost always weaker. In KH3, you're encouraged to use any Keyblade you want, since they're all more or less acquired on equal footing, and offer substantial gameplay changes akin to drive forms or command styles. In fact, they're an intelligent fusion of those two mechanics, providing the ultimate form change system. Every Keyblade has a transformation path you can enter by performing combos with them. The Kingdom Key will eventually prompt you to enter second form by pressing the triangle button, which you can do at any time. Doing so will alter your base combos similar to a command form. From there, you can either perform a finisher or continue down the path for another form change. Since you can switch between 3 equipped Keyblades during battle, and it will store your current form change, battles feel more fluid than ever.
There was one point you said that I want to touch on before. Oh yeah.
Since they're all more or less acquired on equal footing.
Yeah, I mean, Mirage Staff and Pirates are busted, but other than that.
Little yo-yos, then, mid-combo, you can swap over to a form change you stored earlier for favorite deputy, smashing your hammer into the ground. The visual effects for these transformations are feasts for the eyes. It has never felt better to decimate Heartless. In terms of game flow and function, I prefer the form changes to drive forms. They're themed to each Disney World, giving you a tangible memento of your time spent there, and have a variety of effects on your base moves that you can chain together. Double arrow guns allows you to shoot from distance, but you can also weave in your magic to shoot all groundless projectiles which hit more often. If you pull out the drill, your magic will come out in a circle around you much quicker, like fire did in KH2. Dodging with Ever After will create after images which provide extra ranged attacks. The counter shield is not especially useful in traditional combat, but if you counter a few attacks with a critical counter thrown in for good measure, you can fire back with devastating
Holy.
damage. It's very satisfying to pick a set of 3 Keyblades and make the most of their form changes. Given that you also have a bunch of magic, summons, shot locks, and flow motion returning, this is the most variety a Kingdom Hearts game has ever offered, and it makes repeat playthroughs on critical mode really fun. I thought it was great even on launch day, so obviously the relatively low difficulty never bothered me too much. You have so many ways to fight that it rarely feels boring. I've seen almost everyone complain about attraction flow, and I don't think I'll ever get it. They're cute little minigames based on Disneyland rides, asking you to time your button presses, juggle enemies in the air, or even something.
I would not call them mini games. Like, a mini game is like Ratatouille or Winnie the Pooh. Like, these are core gameplay mechanics, right? This is something that you're doing in the majority of your fights. Aside from the Magic Mountain with the train, like that one is specific for only 2 fights, I think. But like the carousel, the teacups, the pirate ship, like you're doing them often. They're not mini games.
Simple as walk your boat back and forth. My favorite is the raft attraction, where you have to create a water trail that will trap Heartless, letting you ram cool that the Disneyland rides return.
It's one of my least favorite because I mean just the camera.
Look more mechanic. It makes it feel more Disney than ever.
Like I can't see anything that's happening.
Someone who's primarily into the Cage gameplay for the satisfaction of blowing away Heartless, these minigames are perfect. I also find that they do show
They're
up in
not.
sense.
They
like
are
riding the raft to take out
not
the monsters
minigames.
or riding the teacups in tighter enclosed spaces with walls to bounce off. I love that every Keyblade has a unique shot lock attack, some that can even be used to restore HP. I love that water can be used both offensively and defensively, like a stricter version of Reflect. I love that flow motion is
It's more similar to Arrow, I think. Like the actual form that it takes before it shoots off. I wouldn't really call it like a defensive spell because, I mean, like it's only there for like the startup animation. You know what I mean? It's more like a charge than it is a defense thing.
fun to use, but feels less like a crutch now that it's much more limited. There are so many little things about Cage 3 that make it feel like a proper return as a numbered title. The handheld games were pretty alright for what they were, but none of them felt this fun. None of them allowed you to do quite this much, and it's refreshing for the series to leap back onto the console scene, feeling this good to play with so many options at your disposal. Every world you visit, you're constantly unlocking more. A new Keyblade, a new summon, more magic, and by the end, you build an outstanding arsenal of wacky attacks. To pair well with the gorgeous new graphical leap, and to fit the climax of a decades-long story arc, we're now taking on bigger threats than ever before. You tango with a huge tree monster while you climb the iconic tower from Tangled. You fight a giant UFO with play blades with blocks shooting across the arena. The spectacle here is insane and makes the Heartless feel even more terrifying. As the Keyblade War draws near, it would make sense that the darkness is stirring ever greater. Yet, it also doesn't skip on the more down-to-earth fights. You get to battle Davy Jones and the Kraken in a multi-phase fight during the climax of At World's End. You get to fight the dark version of the original Baymax from the first film on the back of the new Baymax. By the time you reach the graveyard, you're bombarded with cool fight after cool fight, leading to this amazing 6-hour-long climax to years worth of build-up. All of this is enhanced when playing on the free critical mode update, but I still felt the epic impact of these boss fights on my first playthrough.
I do think I agree with that very last point. I do think it would have been cool to have more like Disney actual fights, like either Randall or whatever else. Because like for example, like Hans or like Captain Hook, like you know what I mean. Like they're both going to be swordsmen. Sure, Captain Hook is obviously a better character, but like part of the enjoyment was the fact that you can hit these Disney characters with a key sword, right? Like that's part of the appeal. Not that I'm saying that you should have fought Hans, but like Davy Jones, like I think we should have needed more stuff like that. Like I think Randall would have been cool, or Randall with a Heartless, kind of like seeing how they did with Clayton with his chameleon in Kingdom Hearts 1. Like stuff like that, you know, like I feel like we definitely could have done. But yeah.
It feels so right to stroll up to all these brooding losers and whip out a giant hammer from Toy Story to flatten them with. It's not as focused as Cage 2, where everything felt like it had a distinct purpose. The boss fights were more like controlled duels that could get you sweating a little more often.
Yeah.
Cage 3 is a little more freeform, a little less technical, and a little more flashy. But Kingdom Hearts has
Sure.
never been the pinnacle of action combat anyway. An important point about these games is that they're action RPGs, built to merge the action genre with the turn-based feel of Final Fantasy. In basically all of them, you can grind to max level if you really want to and break them in half. It makes sense to me that throwing out a big magic spell or a summon would do ridiculous amounts
I actually really like what he said there. I want to include that.
to stroll up to all these brooding losers and whip out a giant hammer from Toy Story to flatten them with. It's not
3145. This is whose video? King K.
Not as focused as Cage 2, where everything felt like it had a distinct purpose, and boss fights were more like controlled duels that could get you sweating a little more often. Cage 3 is a little more freeform, a little less technical, and a little more flashy. But Kingdom Hearts has never been the pinnacle of action combat anyway. An important point about these games is that they're action RPGs, built to merge the action genre with the turn-based feel of Final Fantasy. In basically all of them, you can grind to max level if you really want to and break them in half. It makes sense to me that throwing out a big magic spell or a summon would do ridiculous amounts of damage. It feels just as good as it would in Final Fantasy, with the benefit of that visceral action feel. Cage 3 manages that balance pretty well, even if it doesn't feel as demanding as Cage 2 often. I suppose I go to these two games for different reasons, and one approach doesn't outweigh the other entirely. Cage 2 was so focused on its combat that other areas suffered a bit. I don't think it handles its Disney worlds particularly well compared to the first game, and it isn't nearly as fun to explore or platform. It also relies on a few too many gimmicks that feel like slogs on repeat playthroughs. I'm not trying to bring down one game to praise another. I'm simply trying to illustrate that these three numbered titles all have their
I'm curious to know what like.
playthroughs. I'm not, and it isn't nearly as fun to explore or platform. It also relies on a few too many gimmicks that feel like slogs on repeat playthroughs.
Oh yeah, what are those gimmicks? Like, is it like playing as a lion? Like, is that what he means?
I'm not trying to bring down one game to praise another. I'm simply trying to illustrate that these three numbered titles all have their strengths and weaknesses. I rate them all fairly equally. I'd even say, overall, that I still prefer Cage 2 as a game. What I'm trying to say is that combat depth and balance isn't the end-all be-all of Kingdom Hearts, and I know that to be the case because I adore playing around with three systems, despite it being quite a bit more unbalanced. It has the same to play. Enemies have a consistent revenge value again. Most of your moves have a cost associated with them, and your freedom to choose with a traditional command menu. To play. Enemies have a consistent revenge value again. Most of your moves have a cost associated.
I wouldn't agree with most of your moves. Like, it's really just your magic, right? Because Keyblade transformations are free, attraction flows are free, shot locks are quote unquote free. They're not free. They have a meter, but the meter gets recharged so easily, unless you're just spamming shot locks.
And your freedom to choose with a traditional command menu makes it so outside of your situation commands, which basically generate reaction commands anyway, everything that matters to you is under your control.
The difference between reaction commands and situation commands from 3 is A, the frequency in which they appear. The ones that appear a lot in Kingdom Hearts 2 are the party ones, the limit commands, like with Donald, Goofy, and any of your other party members. Those will just randomly spring up, like they do in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. But the other ones being your grand magic spells, which are fine. Those are basically treated as like glorified finishers. But by and large, the attraction flow stuff, which I've already touched on.
All times. This includes the difficulty, which now includes critical mode, the no experience toggle, and the pro codes, which let you toggle various settings to tweak your experience to your liking. It's the same with easy codes, which feel like modern day cheat codes. It's actually kind of awesome to see such a modular difficulty selection. You can have your HP and MP drain at a constant rate during battle. You can set your defense value to 0. You can turn off attractions, form changes, shot locks, summons. On the flip side, easy codes let you auto attacks, one-shot with your enemies, regen your resources automatically, equip abilities without the need for HP. What I love about this dichotomy is that I can genuinely see myself using options from both sides of the aisle here. Obviously, it's kind of cool to have an option to turn off summons or shot locks, forcing me into a particular place that I have to create for myself in previous games. However, I think it's actually even cooler that the easy codes have options like making excellence easier to get when cooking, or having team commands show up more often. By the way, did I mention that there's an entire side mode dedicated to Remy Ratatouille over here, where you gather ingredients and play a set of cooking minigames to give yourself stat boosts? Or that in the same world, you unlock little Game & Watch games on your Gummy phone that each represent a black and white Disney short film? This game is so rad, people don't like this. There's so much to do in Cage 3. You get to fly the Gummy ship through a big 3D space now, collecting materials, participating in shorter, more controlled Cage 2 dogfights here and there. This is probably blasphemous for some, but this is absolutely my favorite incarnation of the Gummy ship. It really fits well in a game asking you to explore.
I don't think many people would disagree with that. I don't think it's blasphemous to say that 3 is the best Gummy ship.
For helpful items. What it sometimes lacks in visual variety and highly controlled set pieces, it more than makes up for in its freedom to explore for Gummy blocks, Keyblade upgrade materials, EXP, and even secret boss fights. It gives you more of a reason to invest your time into building your Gummy ship. You'll be making progress towards unlocking the Ultima Keyblade, upgrading your other Keyblades, and eventually fighting the Schwarzgeist from Einhander, fit with a banger remix of Thermosphere by Kenichiro Fukui.
Wait, for real? I didn't actually know that. Or if he's being facetious. I don't know. He's probably not.
Since each world is bigger than usual with more stuff to collect, it takes even longer to fill out Jimmy's journal. It is true that Cage 3 lacks post-game content at its core, but I think it more than makes up for that by creating an incredibly solid main campaign with Disney worlds twice the size. And if I had to choose between the main game feeling rich with content or the post-game, I think you'd know which one I'd pick. Especially since, per the tradition of Final Mix updates, they can spruce up the post-game however they like. And spruce up they did. The data organization is likely the hardest set of bosses the series has ever had. Well, the hardest set of fair bosses, anyway. The linear will might outclass some of them individually, but I think when you compare this set of bosses to the data org in Cage 2, they come out on top in terms of overall challenge. These fights are excellent tests of your reaction speed, with some truly insane attacks. I remember when I first fought Dark Riku, got to his DM, and thought to myself, oh no.
I'm unstoppable! Later! One more!
LOL. Was he even low on HP? No, he wasn't. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I'll answer that in a minute.
This is truly the pinnacle of what Cage 3 Combat can achieve when it makes it. Young Dog has his best fight.
Chill, Tito.
Looking his Keyblade at you, using his time manipulation in a way that doesn't annoy me, and fits with the fast pacing of the fight. A well-timed critical counter can actually knock him straight out of his time stop. And since he always ends the fight with one, that final hit is always a nail-biter. Luke Surgery is a little easier to address, but it's certainly a far more interesting fight than his Cage 2 battle. Figuring the game out involves breaking his cards to make his hide and seek.
Chill, Tito.
You to fit in more punishes before your time gauge runs out. To do this, you have to use the correct type of magic and block it. He likes to fake you out too, with varying speeds and card formations. What's cool though is that this only makes his minigame easier to complete. There'll be less cards on the ground while you're trying to keep track of them, but even if there are more cards on the ground, technically nothing is stopping you from braving that challenge. It truly feels like a game you two are playing, and it always ends with a frantic round of hide and seek at the very end. Xigbar changes the shape of the arena to better suit his long-range capabilities. His fight is focused on blocking his shots back at him to leave him open for a counterattack. I haven't talked much about it, but Air Stab is very useful here. A new move in Sora's arsenal which lets him warp straight to bosses for a fast finish. You tend to use it most in these data battles where the window to attack is much shorter. For the most part, Xigbar dictates the pace of the battle, with the return of his tiny platform dance party, and even a cute face-off minigame. I could go on for hours.
It's not a minigame.
Single fight. Saix and Dark Riku veer a little bit into BS territory sometimes, but they're all so well designed that it hardly matters. Marluxia has a sick Doom counter phase where he summons a giant skull. Xemnas forces you to contend with his laser dome through actual gameplay, weaving together your blocks and dodges. Xion can reduce your max HP by hitting you. They're awesome. Every fight is awesome. They might be mentally draining on critical, but they're so cool, and they all have really, really good remixes, especially the Luke Sword 13 Struggle by Yuki Komiya. Oh my god, that one is good. ends with a battle against Cole Sprouse, the best secret boss in
Cole
Kingdom Hearts.
Sprouse. Wait, is it Cole or is it Dylan? I can't. Wait, maybe he was joking. I thought it was Dylan. It is Dylan. Okay, yeah, he was joking.
Koji Nomura's most legendary pieces, Noctflugo. I really hope that I pronounced that correctly.
Oh, Noctflugel.
This is everything that made the Lingering Will fantastic cranked to the max. It will test your resolve as a human being, and I'm so interested to learn more about this character. Kingdom Hearts 3 may not feel exactly like 1 or 2, but neither does 2 feel entirely like 1 to begin with. 3 did exactly what I wanted as a sequel mechanically, and crafted an experience I can only get by playing it. That's all I can ever ask.
Checkmate. And so, darkness prevails, and light expires. You need a new strategy. My move, isn't it? Huh? It's not over.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is the conclusive chapter to the Darkseeker saga. We're here to save the Guardians of Light, fight the Keyblade War, and take down Xehanort once and for all. Other threads run in the background, table setting for future entries as per usual. For the most part, though, I would describe this tale as cathartic. Predictable, but cathartic. If you were a fan of Kingdom Hearts during the lead up to 3, you basically knew everything that was going to happen in advance. I saw the phrase reconnect Kingdom Hearts enough times to give me an ulcer. The question wasn't what was going to happen, it was how. I suppose
Yeah.
the how of it all didn't resonate with very many people. Well, it resonated with the heartless wretches. Though it was removed from Cage 3 to serve as a demo of sorts, I think 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, does a good job setting the tone moving into Cage 3 proper. Following Aqua as she attempts to survive in the realm of darkness, the demon tide chasing after her, representing the darkness itself, a consistent force that can never truly be defeated. As you'd imagine, the realm of darkness is a bleak place, playing tricks on the mind, creating false hope. That Aqua hasn't broken under its influence, being alone for a length of time that she can't even place anymore, is a testament to her strength. It's another reminder of what the stakes are, why these characters are in desperate need of saving. There's quite a lot this story needed to accomplish. It needed to tie together the stories of Roxas, Xion, Axel, Naminé, Aqua, Terra, Ventus, Kairi, Riku, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Sora, plus Xehanort and the members of the new organization. On top of that, it needed to introduce a ton of new Disney worlds.
Wait, what did it need to do? Well, I don't know about everyone. I mean, because it didn't, right? Like, what part of, like, Riku's story got tied together? Or Donald and Goofy? Like, you know what I mean? Like...
Help the plot of the Radiant Garden researchers and continue the running threads in the background which would continue the story after the Keyblade War was said and done. Given how much there was to wrap up, I think the team did a commendable job. Everything you do in 3 has something to do with one of these missing lights. Revisiting Twilight Town is mostly for Roxas. You meet up with Hayner, Pence, and Olette again to figure out how to restore him. It's a bittersweet, nostalgic trip. As Sora says, it feels like it's been forever since we've stepped foot in Twilight Town, even if it hasn't actually been that long in universe. It shows how much Roxas has been longing to come back, something Sora feels for him. It's familiar. The trams are running, the shops are open, but now there's a film festival. A bistro run by a rat, and the hole in the wall has been repaired. You have to run through the sewers to get to the mansion, but once you're there, it's like nothing's changed. Ansem and Xemnas are a perfect fit to antagonize Sora, taunting him about the lengths he'll have to go to sustain the life of a nobody, wondering if he'll once again fall to darkness. This is a pattern the story falls into. At each leg of the journey, a new idea or problem will be tackled. Riku and Mickey are on a mission to save Aqua from the realm of darkness. Ienzo helps to build a vessel for Roxas. All the while, Ventus attempts to claw his way out of Sora's heart when Aqua is brought up or when he's confronted by Vanitas. Despite what many might say, there's actually a good amount of progress made both during and in between Disney worlds towards this endgame conflict. One of the reasons they're able to recruit Xion into the new organization is thanks to young Xehanort and Dark Riku, whose efforts combined with Vexen's replica research is able to recreate Xion to become one of the 13 darknesses, no strings attached. Vanitas' resurrection occurs in Monstropolis thanks to the surplus of negative energy present in the world, and he's able to alert Sora to Ventus' heart residing within him. Xehanort's shown to have a fallback plan in case the Guardians fail, sending Marluxia and Larxene to find and safeguard the new Seven Hearts. There's a whole side plot with Vexen, who betrays the organization and seeks to atone alongside Ansem the Wise, ultimately making it thanks to him that we're able to create vessels for Xion and Naminé. We cut to Kairi and Axel bonding together during their training with Merlin, and though it isn't much, their scenes together are really cute. Their relationship has come a long way since Cage 2, and the scenes where Axel is reminded of someone who never existed are tough to watch. It makes their fights at the Keyblade Graveyard marginally less disappointing. What I'm trying to outline here is that there's a build-up to Cage 3 that's meant to burst once you save Aqua, the crescendo of a chess match Xehanort and Ericus have been playing since they were young lads. Perhaps some of the early narrative pacing is sacrificed in order to make the endgame more satisfying, which is a bit disappointing considering how revelatory and climactic the midpoint of 2 was. But that also means that the endgame of 3, in my opinion, is the strongest in the series. Sora having regained his...
Oh, no. No, I disagree. 2's ending was really good. Like, that's what's great about 2, is that it has a fantastic middle and a great end. Like, arguably, the series could have ended with 2. It's not like that there wasn't a whole lot of loose threads. Like, they set things up with Lingering Will, but that was about it, right? Like, you could have just ended the series there. You know, you didn't need Birth by Sleep, you didn't need Recoded, you didn't need Dream Drop Distance. You could have ended the series with 2. But
I'm not saying they should have done that, but I do not think that I don't think that 3 felt more conclusive than 2. I think 2 was really conclusive.
Journeys into the realm of darkness to fight Aqua alone, and what a fight that is. Anti-Aqua by Yoshinori Nakamura is a harrowing theme. She's lost the battle against her insecurities. All of her negative emotions have bubbled to the surface. Her loneliness, her fear, her anger. She's become one with the mirror images she once fought against, fully embracing the darkness after an eternity spent with it being her only companion. It's heartbreaking to see Aqua like this, but it's also humbling. Not even the strongest of souls can brave the world's darkness on their own. Without the warmth of others, we lose ourselves. Our power is limited, and sometimes we need help. Sora, the blinding beacon of hope that he is, cuts through that despair and, with little help from Riku, saves her from that abyss. Her reaction waking up on the Destiny Islands is still hard to watch. It says a lot that, upon waking up, she still believes she's in the realm of darkness. That's how long she's been trapped. It's become her new reality. So when Sora and Riku assure her that she's finally in the realm of light, that she's home, the tears that fall down her face are gut-wrenching. The relief flowing into her is palpable. You can feel the muscles in her body release all of their tension. This is the payoff to a tragedy set up back on the PSP, one that we have been patiently awaiting for nearly a decade. Since everything is so backloaded, this event serves as the first domino, which sets off a chain reaction of payoffs. As soon as Aqua is safe, the next course of action is for her to go wake up Ventus, where we get to play as her in a short battle against Vanitas. Unfortunately, Vanitas gets the upper hand, showing even early on that Aqua still hasn't fully recovered from her experiences in the realm of darkness. When all hope seems lost, Sora is able to use the power of waking for the first time to summon Ventus. Watching him crash in to save Aqua was another fantastic moment, and it gives me chills watching them finally talk to each other after all this. Not through dreams or apparitions, they're both actually here. I'm trying my best not to rattle off a bunch of plot points, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from here. The climax of Cage 3 is so good. It's one of the best parts of the game, and it basically had to be. This is the ending of the Darkseeker saga. I'll say once again that we all knew who was going to be saved, but it was about finally seeing them back in action, smiling and safe again, that made the long wait for this game more than worth it. I revel in the smaller moments, like the Guardians assembling at Yensid's tower before journeying to the Keyblade graveyard. Then remembering Axel after their brief bonding moment back in Radiant Garden. Aqua's swelling pride in how far Sora, Riku, and Kairi have all come since she first met them as children. Even Ven and Aqua's quiet moment together on the steps of the tower, where they vow to save Terra together, warms my heart. These characters all mean the world to me. I've been following their stories for most of my life, watching them suffer through unimaginable nightmares. They've been killed, trapped, possessed, sent to sleep. We waited years to finally see them happy again, and this was the first major step towards seeing that goal realized. It's not without its dramatic turns, though, and their first steps into the Keyblade graveyard was something I could never have expected. At this moment, you're on top of the world. You've regained the power of waking, you've assembled the Guardians of Light, and you've just completed a battle against a horde of heartless nobodies and unversed. Surely we're ready to take on the organization, right?
Terra! Ven! Terra!
Pause real quick. I need to check something. I'll just pull this up on a different monitor. Scroll back a little bit.
Watching them suffer through unimaginable warms my heart. We first met them as children. Even Ven and Aqua back in Radiant Garden. Aqua's swelling at Yensid's tower before journeying to the Keyblade graveyard. Then remembering Axel after their brief bonding moment back in Radiant Garden. Aqua's swelling pride in how far Sora, Riku, and Kairi have all come since she first met them as children. Even Ven and Aqua's quiet moment together on the steps of the tower, where they vow to save Terra together, warms my heart. These characters all mean the world. I've been following their stories for most of my life, watching them suffer through unimaginable nightmares. They've been killed, trapped, possessed, sent to sleep. We waited years to finally see them happy again. This was the first major step towards seeing that goal. It's not without its dramatic turns, though, and their first steps into the Keyblade graveyard is something I could never have expected. At this moment, you're on top of the world. You've regained the power of waking, you've assembled the Guardians of Light, and you've just completed a battle against a horde of heartless nobodies and unversed. Surely we're ready to take on the organization, right?
Terra! Ven! Terra, we found you! He is their team.
Today is the day you all lose.
Terra appears, catching the Guardians by surprise. As his hair turns white and he rushes them, the situation turns dire faster than you can blink. One by one, the Guardians are taken out, while a hurricane of heartless forms defeat them. This is what the Guardians are up against. Darkness itself. They're outnumbered in this clash. It's 7 lights against 13 darknesses, an uphill battle. As Sora loses everyone, he doubts himself. All of the growth he had throughout the Disney world was all for naught if he couldn't save a single one of his Sora up against a force of nature, darkness itself. Instead of giving into that fear, that despair, Riku clenches his fist and raises his Keyblade to protect Sora. He's been through so much. He's brushed with the darkness many times. It's taken him the entire saga to come to terms with that and become a guardian of light. He's battled his inner demons, gotten over his insecurities, and knows that he's a strong person, which is what makes this line all the more powerful.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
Sora was part of the reason Riku even made it this far. It was his unwavering belief in his best friend.
Alright, sorry, I'm actually getting distracted. I may have to come back and watch the rest of this later. But, we did get a good amount of stuff, particularly from that first video we watched, from JHev. So, but yeah, I want to keep looking for these types of videos, and seeing, like, the more defenses of Kingdom Hearts 3. So far, there's been fewer story ones than I kind of expected. A lot of them have just been more so gameplay. But anyways, so... Oh, wait. There's JHev. This guy's name was King K, right? Is it no space? LOL. I put them in the wrong section. Okay, well, I don't know how to... I'll fix that later. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is Jake. Log